1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Is your mattress keeping you up all night, tossing and turning, needing a new mattress but don't know where to go? Well, shop at Social Furniture today, where they sell comfort. They have all of the top brands like Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress. Social Furniture offers sofa beds, loft beds, twin beds, queen beds, king beds, kids beds, and beds for your whole family. There's no waiting, and they have same-day delivery. Visit Social Furniture in West Nashville at 5412 Charlotte Avenue. Forget the big box store. Shop local. Shop social.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game. Center flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 1025. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios, which today is First Horizon Park as the Nashville Sounds take on the Charlotte Knights, the AAA affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. First pitch, 7:05. It is Tim Dillard night. So longtime Nashville Sound Tim Dillard will have his jersey retired tonight. So get excited about that as we are here today. Speaking of excited on this Fireball Hot Take Friday, Caroline Fenton is here today. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Outstanding. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
Okay, so I want to start on this. And I said, speaking of exciting, I was at Titans practice today, and Joe Rexroad wanted to pick a bone with me, had a bone to pick with me.
That's new.
And, well, here's what kind of got me a little bit, right, that I would say I found to be a little interesting was, if anybody has missed it, the great debate this week between Joe and I is last year, Ryan Tannehill threw a bunch of interceptions in training camp, and I felt like that foreshadowed the regular season, which obviously foreshadowed which in my opinion, foreshadowed the postseason. We know what happened in the postseason. You know, we don't have to go there, clean slate. But Joe's take today was that, remember yesterday it was show me proof that Tannehill wasn't good in preseason, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, his take today, he's amended that after we did that. Oh, yeah, you guys were on that text chain this morning. Joe was all worked up. Joe's theory is that the interceptions Tannehill threw in training camp last year had nothing to do with the fact that he threw a bunch of interceptions in the regular season and a bunch of interceptions in the postseason, which led me to ask this question. Then why do we practice? Why is there practice? What is the point of going to practice? So I've decided that there's two ways to do this. I mean, for me, I believe either you go to practice and you see it as I see it, which is, look, is it the same as a game? No. Would it be nice if they wore pads every day? Yes. Would it be better if they tackled? Of course. But that's why I go to practice, is because this is the earliest sign of anything that we can get with the 2022 Tennessee Titans. And today, and so everybody should have an idea. I want everybody to take an oath today. That is, either you want to know about practice and you care about practice because there are some foreshadowing elements of what it means in practice. And by the way, for the most part, the guys who play the best in practice usually play the best in the games. I looked it up last year, training camp. Amani Hooker was awesome. Amani Hooker had a good season. So either you care about practice and you see it for what it is, which is a foreshadowing of the upcoming season. It is not, biblical. It is not the definition of what will happen. Or you absolutely don't care one iota about anything practice related. And so then you can turn off the radio until September. That's what I believe. Is that fair?
I don't know. Because to say, why do we even practice? Well, practice isn't for us. practice is for them.
Sure.
So I'm not going to go into practice and say, well, if we're not going to take anything away from Tannehill or whoever it may be in training camp, I'm not going to say that there's no sense in practicing. There's no use in practicing just because we're not going to take too much or, take too much stock out of each practice.
I guess what I'm saying is if practice isn't important, then why would people cover it?
Is that Joe's take, though? Is that practice isn't important?
Is Joe's take, and this is in regards to Tannehill last year, is that Tannehill's interception throwing had nothing to do with the interceptions that he threw during the season and then in the postseason. And I just, and this is the point I want to make about this, because today, I got to tell you, there's not one guy like Traylon Burks the other day where I was like, oh my God, but the consistent flashing of Robert Woods, Traylon Burks, Austin Hooper, Chigakonkwo was very obvious to me. Good timing with Tannehill, good catches. Hooper on a third down made Tannehill put it just behind him. Hooper made an excellent adjustment on the football, brought it in, great catch. Okonkwo, as blocking is going to need some work, but Okonkwo, I noticed a lot with both Tannehill and Woodside in 11-on-11, 7-on-7. Traylon Burks, awesome again today, including one play. Now, this is where it's hard. I believe this was a 7-on-7 play where Tannehill had a lot of time in the pocket because it's 7-on-7. And in the 7-on-7, Tannehill goes deep to Burks. It wasn't like down the sideline or anything, but he threw the ball about a good 25 yards. Burks had beat his man. Now, again, it had been a while, and most DBs after a while get beat. Burks had beat his man, took the ball all the way to the house for a touchdown. And so when I see consistently at practice, and I'm giving pluses to Robert Woods and pluses to Traylon Burks and Austin Hooper and Chigakonkwo, and I kept seeing those guys there, as somebody who covers this team, that's a great sign. I think that's a great sign because last year, all we did was notice how many interceptions Tannehill was throwing and complained about the guys Tannehill was throwing the ball to. It's like, well, when it's Julio and when it's AJ, it'll be different. And the reality was that it wasn't Julio enough and it wasn't AJ enough, and it wasn't really all that different. I mean, Racey McMath is making some really good catches. He looks like he's gotten a lot better. Des Fitzpatrick looks a lot better. And so this is my way of telling you all, I will not say, I'm not going to waste my time at 2 hours of practice if I don't think there's something I can get out of this. And for me, what I think I can get out of practice is I believe I can get out of, little things here and there to either make you feel more comfortable about the Titans or less comfortable. And last year they threw a bunch of interceptions and we brushed it all off and we said it didn't matter. And all of a sudden they got into the regular season and they were throwing interceptions all season long. Right now, Tannehill so far in training camp in the 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 was 9 of 11 today. Now he had 2 sacks, neither of which I thought were his fault, but 9 of 11, you go 9 of 11, 8 and 8. I mean, for right now, Ryan Tannehill, 17-19 through 2 practices and no interceptions. Because how many times have we talked about why was the team sluggish on offense last year? Over the last 12 months, how many discussions have we had?
I mean, offensive line, pass catchers, offensive coordinator. There have been so many possibilities thrown out there.
So many. And I'm just watching it and I see a difference in the bodies that they have out there at wide receiver. A guy I liked in minicamp, Josh Malone, and he's gotten a couple pluses here or there, but a guy I really liked in minicamp, Josh Malone, I haven't even really seen him do much, like especially with Tannehill, which makes me think, I thought Josh Malone was going to be the story of camp. He's not. And so I just keep seeing in big moments. In fact, let's just pull up one Tannehill. Let's go 7-on-7. Tannehill to Woods, complete. Tannehill complete to Burks. Tannehill complete to Woods. Tannehill complete to Burks. Like you see what, like isn't that what we want to see? Tannehill to Burks for a touchdown.
That's what we expect to see in the regular season.
Yes, Tannehill to Woods. Tannehill to Hooper, making an adjustment on the ball. Tannehill to Okonkwo. Let's go back 7-on-7 Tannehill. Tannehill short to Jeff Swaim. I think we're kind of used to probably going to see that one.
Been there.
Tannehill incomplete in traffic, pass breakup by Christian Fulton. He got a +1. Though I'll say this about Christian Fulton. He's got to watch those hands now. I mean, in the one-on-ones, I thought they could have thrown a flag on Christian Fulton every single time. Let's see. Tannehill complete to Derrick Henry, who had a nice catch today. And I gave him a +1 on that and put nice because he ran the route crisply. He caught the ball, accelerated up. We'll get into Derrick. I thought Derrick had a fantastic day today for as much as they're ever going to let Derrick Henry do. And then Tannehill incomplete to Josh Malone. So in the first set, when Tannehill's throwing to Woods and Burks and complete, that is what you want to see at practice. And I know people are already going to tell me, I can already see it in the text line. I can already hear it in your phone calls. I can already see it. Joe sending a group text to me, Caroline, and Ian about how it's practice and it's not important because practice doesn't matter. And I agree that practice stats are not going to become a topic of discussion on November 6th. But for right now, this is all we have to go off of that is either going to take what we thought about the 2022 Titans, and it's either going to make us feel better about the team or make us feel worse. And right now, when I look at what they did this offseason, signing Austin Hooper, coming off of a couple disappointing seasons in Cleveland, signing or trading for Robert Woods, who's coming off of an ACL, drafting Treylon Burks, who was out of shape until he showed up for camp, and seeing what they've done so far in training camp, that gives me a lot of energy. I'm very excited about that. And so, look, I don't want to be the local homer hour here talking about training camp practice. But I keep seeing Woods and Burks and Woods and Hooper and Burks and Okonkwo, and that's a good thing because they didn't have any of that last year outside of A.J. Brown. They didn't have any of it. And that is a big deal. They practice tomorrow. They put the pads on Monday. Monday's going to be a big day. And one other takeaway from camp, and then we'll get into the plus minuses. Derrick Henry's foot looks good. Derrick Henry, and I don't know why Derrick Henry's getting all these carries because Derrick Henry usually doesn't get a lot of carries, but they had a lot of first downs. Today was first, second, third down. So I would look at the chain and, first and long or first and 10, second and, whatever. And Derrick got a lot of handoffs on first down. And again, no pads, no tackling, although Derrick did hit the ground once. And when Derrick hit the ground once, a bunch of whistles went off. Just like, hey,
get off him.
Don't let Derrick Henry on the ground. But anywho, Derrick Henry ran effectively, including one where he cut on that left foot and cut up onto the other side of the field, which was a really good sign to see him cut on the foot. Then to see him catch, cut on the other foot and go up. That was a good sign as well. So I'm sorry. I invest my time going to practice, and I think that we can take things away and make judgments about, how we feel a little bit of the team, how we don't feel about it. And right now, if you're a Titans fan that looked at the offseason acquisitions at wide receiver and were nervous, or tight end and were nervous, and I certainly was and am those things, today was a good day for Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, Austin Hooper, and Chig Okonkwo. And really, when you add in minicamp too, for the most part, outside of Burks, it's been a good, every time they've been on the field, Woods has been good, Hooper's been good, Okonkwo has been good, and now with training camp and Burks in shape, he's been fantastic. So let's get it rocking and rolling. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. That's the optimistic part of it. Pluses and minuses. We got a lot of pluses and a lot of minuses, so we'll go over that coming up next. Stillman and Company, live from First Horizon Park. Again, the Sounds tonight are taking on the Charlotte Knights, and they are honoring Tim Dillard. So they are retiring his jersey as well. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Let me tell you about my friends at Hiller. They are the best. I absolutely love my friends at Hiller, and they can do the exact same for you for everything that they've done for my home. July is almost over, and this month they're celebrating the home of the free, and you have to take advantage of all these great deals that my friends at Hiller have. I've been using Hiller at my home for years and years and years, and I am telling you that they will do a fantastic fantastic job. The home of the free specials include a free whole home surge protector and interest-free financing for 12 months with the purchase of a new whole home generator, a free programmable thermostat and interest-free financing for up to 48 months on select new HVAC units, free water sensor leak detector and interest-free financing for 12 months when you buy a new tankless water heater. And all these purchases come with a free Happy Hiller Club membership. Our work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services free guarantee, and these deals are only happening in July, so customers should call as soon as possible. Stillman and Company, live from First Horizon Park. It's 102.5 The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs.
And I-840,
players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
And he has added players that do fit.
What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams.
This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Is your mattress keeping you up all night, tossing and turning, needing a new mattress but don't know where to go? Well, shop at Social Furniture today, where they sell comfort. They have all of the top brands like Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress. Social Furniture offers sofa beds, loft beds, twin beds, queen beds, king beds, kids beds, and beds for your whole family. There's no waiting, and they have same-day delivery. Visit Social Furniture in West Nashville at 5412 Charlotte Avenue. Forget the big box store. Shop local. Shop social.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willie Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home. And the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Summer heat is here. How is your air conditioner holding up? Costs are rising everywhere. Grocery bills, gas bills, utility bills, you name it, up, up, up. Is your AC old, inefficient, costing more than it should? Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Qualified buyers have up to 72 months. No interest for a new York air conditioner and 6 months no interest for repairs. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. All new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. A York certified comfort expert company. Schedule now at springhillac.com.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come, join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
Hey, Nashville, what's the best part of hockey? That's rhetorical. We all know the answer. It's the 3-on-3 overtime, the speed, the skill, the tic-tac-toe passing. It is electric. Well, now there is a new, totally 3-on-3 ice hockey league called 3 Ice, coming to the Music City on August 6th. They're playing at Bridgestone Arena, and tickets are available now at 3ice.com. 6 teams touring across 9 cities, playing a bracket-style tournament at each stop. It's overtime all the time. Hair on fire hockey. Log on to 3ice.com for tickets now.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Austin, Robert, Traylon, do you think that the offensive skill positions around Ryan are currently better than they were where you ended last season?
I think I answered that earlier with the Madden rating questions, but it's it's different. It's about if they play in unison, and it's so much about timing, and there's concepts offensively that you're trying to create and get guys open. It's just, guys get open differently. But I'm excited about the position groups and the guys that we have and the work that they've put in to be ready for camp.
There you go. That was John Robinson on Tuesday. Doesn't want to get too ahead of himself. Doesn't want to say. Let me ask myself the question that I asked him. Robert, Traylon, Austin, do you feel, Jared, like the weapons around Ryan Tannehill are better than what he had at the end of last season? Let me answer that question. Yes. After 3 days of practice, I feel that way. Now, I don't want to take anything away from A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown there's proof of concept that A.J. Brown can be a Pro Bowl wide receiver. There is no proof of concept that these guys can do that. I don't know if Woods made a Pro Bowl or not with the Rams, but Woods has never been in the elite category in the NFL. He's always been in the very solid, very good category. But it is time now for pluses and minuses today at practice. Robert Woods got a plus today. Caleb Farley got a plus. Good pass breakup along the side. Caleb Farley, they're going to put the pads on, and Vrabel was asked if that'll change things for Robert and Caleb, and he kind of hinted at yes. So we'll see what that means. But Caleb Farley got a plus today. Logan Woodside really stunk up the joint. He got 2 minuses. We'll get into him in a second. Malik Willis got a minus on a ball that he threw from McMath. Here's the thing about Malik. Malik's got zip on the ball, which I like. The timing, a little bit off, but that's what they told us ahead of time. Malik threw a ball that got broken up at one point along the sideline, and it was a deep, out-breaking route, and Willis threw a beautiful ball. It was 50-50, back shoulder for the receiver. The receiver went up, could have made a play, and didn't make the play. And I turned to TD after that throw, and I said, boy, that was a beautiful throw from Willis. The problem is on like a couple plays before that in 7-on-7, Malik Willis on second down threw a ball to a wide open Racey McMath, and he threw it at his feet. I mean, it was ugly. Mm-hmm. And so he got a minus for that. He has to get a minus for that. That throw was so bad, he gets a minus. Cody Hollister got a plus. Mason Kinsey got a plus. We'll get into Mason Kinsey a little bit later. Great catch by Mason Kinsey on a deep ball in the one-on-ones. I forget which DB he was going up against, but Kinsey saw the ball, ran to the spot, caught it, ran through the route, loved it. McMath, it got a plus and a minus. McMath had a drop that was right in his hands. Can't have that. But McMath had a beautiful catch in the one-on-ones. And this is 3 days in a row that Racey McMath has gotten a plus. And so let's keep Racey McMath in mind with all of this. Nick Westbrook, Akina got a plus. Beautiful catch in one-on-ones. Traylon Burks got 2 pluses. Let me see where I've highlighted the 2. Traylon Burks got a plus on a 25-yard. It was a 25-yard throw from Tannehill that Burks caught and would have run into the end zone for a touchdown. So I had to give him a plus for that. And then I believe Traylon Burks had another outstanding catch at one point. One way or another, he got 2 pluses on the day. He was fantastic. Kyle Phillips got a plus. Derrick Henry got a plus. And here's where Derrick Henry got a plus for me, was on a ball from Tannehill on second down. Tannehill checked down to Henry, and Derrick Henry caught the ball like a running back who knows how to catch the ball out of the backfield, and then cut up on the foot and took it up. And I like that. Those are the things that I'm looking at Derrick Henry, and I'm like, all right, let's see how that foot's going. It looked, in rhythm, crisp. Tannehill got him the ball. Up Derrick Henry went. He got a plus. Christian Fulton got a plus. A great pass breakup on Des Fitzpatrick on a throw from Tannehill. And he also got a minus. And I didn't say this about Christian Fulton. I know I alluded to this earlier. Christian Fulton's got to stop with the hands. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's there somewhere. Today, there was an incompletion. I believe it was a Woodside throw. But I remember looking at Joe and saying to Joe, what'd you think? And Joe goes, I mean, it was a bad throw, but he hit him before the ball got there. And so, Christian Fulton's going to have to watch that. I'm just noticing it a lot with Christian Fulton. Nate Davis got a minus today. He got, if I was the coach, I wouldn't have been very happy with whatever Nate Davis did to get a minus. I wouldn't have been very happy about that. Carson Green got a plus. Jalen McKenzie, he's a tackle I like. An undrafted free agent out of USC. He's Reggie McKenzie's son. He's a tackle. He's big. He's athletic. He's got practice squad written all over him, but a developmental player. He got 2 minuses today. Dylan Radin's got 2 pluses today,
right,
ladies and gentlemen.
Dylan.
Dylan Radin's.
All
Dylan
right.
Radin's got 2 pluses today. Taylor Lewan got 3 pluses. He was all over the board. Nicholas Petit Ferrer got 2 minuses. But
interesting.
But I'm telling you, don't count out Petit Ferrer. Liking what I'm seeing so far, though he got 2 minuses.
I think he's interesting.
Austin Hooper got a plus today. That was a 3rd down throw on a 3rd and long. Tannehill completed the ball into a tight window where Tannehill got a plus, and Austin Hooper, no, excuse me, that was a Conquo that got that plus. Austin Hooper got a plus on a 3rd and long. Tannehill threw the ball behind him, but he made a great catch in traffic, so Austin Hooper got a +1. Obviously, a Conquo, I told you about a +1. Blocking, when they were doing some blocking drills, tight ends and tackles, Chig's blocking is going to need a little bit of work. And I think that they're going to make sure that he gets that work, but he's going to need a little work. Laurel Murchison got a +1, and Rashad Weaver got a +1. And I gave Weaver a +1. I could have given him a +2, but he didn't do anything super special. But his hands against the tackle, I thought were really, really good. I thought he was quick. I thought he was aggressive. And so Rashad Weaver got a +1 right there. So all in all, I mean, again, we went into the training camp wondering about these receivers and tight ends, and right now they're getting pluses, and it looks natural. Even a guy like Des Fitzpatrick, who looked awful last year at training camp, he looks like an NFL player, and they didn't have a lot of that last year. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Aiden, kick us off. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead, Aiden.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I wanted to talk about A.J. Brown. If he would have accepted the offer that DK Metcalf recently signed, it was a 3-year, $72 million deal, around $24 million in base salary. He got a 4-year, $100 million. I wonder if the Titans submit that offer to him. Does he accept it?
The 3-year, 72?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for your call, Aiden. Here's the thing. AJ wanted $80 million guaranteed, reportedly, according to TD.
Just ridiculous.
I mean, so the reason Metcalf got such a better deal than everybody else, and the reason is, and I saw this, the Seattle Seahawks do not guarantee second years of contracts. So you have to give a guy a massive signing bonus. If you're only going to guarantee the year in which you're giving him, and you're not going to give him any more years, then you have to do something. That's what happened there. I would say this as far as the AJ and DK and Terry McLaurin's contract, and Deebo Samuel is going to get a contract, and all of this stuff. And that is, ultimately, we're going to see if it's worth it. Because there's going to be great test studies as to what is the value of a high-end wide receiver and paying him high-end wide receiver money. Remember, running backs used to go with the number 1 overall pick. And then all of a sudden, running back became a devalued position. And now Derrick Henry might be the best running back in the NFL, and he's making $12.5 million a year. Tyreek Hill's making almost 2.5 times that. Is Derrick Henry that unimportant compared to Tyreek Hill? I don't think so. So this is going to be a great test study. Are the Miami Dolphins an elite team this year with all the resources they've plugged in at wide receiver? Because you can pay DK Metcalf all the money you want in the world. But if Drew Lock stinks and your offensive line still stinks, and then you're not going to win any games. And so I do wonder where that's headed. The Raiders, for instance, they paid all that money to Devontae Adams. The Eagles paid all the money to AJ. And here's where the other side of the coin comes into play with the Titans, which is, what if Treylon Burks is as good as AJ Brown? AJ Brown flashed in his first game as an NFL player. AJ Brown popped in his 4th game as an NFL player. Now, AJ Brown did drop a 4th down pass in his 2nd game as an NFL player, which keep not. But Treylon Burks might be better than AJ, might be worse than AJ. I don't know. But if I look around the league and I see all these teams that pushed all their chips in the middle at wide receiver, and then I look at the Titans, who have a rookie in Burks, a high-end rookie, and a 6th-round pick for Robert Woods, and the Titans end up getting good contributions there, then that would make me nervous if I was a team that wanted to pay big money for wide receivers. Now, as far as would AJ have taken the DK, I don't know. I don't know what AJ would have taken or what AJ wouldn't have taken. The money keeps going up, but I'm not worried about that. I think the Titans ultimately made the right call. Even if Burks doesn't work out, I think they made the right call because of AJ's injury history. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025. Speaking of wide receiver, there is a guy on the Titans. It's been 3 days at camp, and I am just going gaga over.
Crushing.
Oh, we'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5 The Game.
This is Mikhail Kralin, and this is Nashville.
The rebound shoveled in by Mikhail Kralin, and the Predators have tied it up on the power play.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, the beach is just the beginning. Because here, there's so much more to explore. So let's paddle, and maybe even parasail. Let's hit the trails, the coffee shops, the quaint boutiques, and craft breweries. And then let's indulge in some fresh seafood with a sea view. From the Gulf Coast to the Bay, there's something for every taste and every interest. So let's make the most of every sun-drenched minute, and let's shine. Start planning your next escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Family Leisure is having a come out and play sale.
That's right. Family Leisure is inviting you to come out and play.
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. DIY pools start at only $16.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed.
More than 100 spas in stock and incoming, starting at only $29.99.
Hundreds of sets of patios in stock and on sale.
The Sabre infrared grill in stock and on sale at only $11.99. Come out and play at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family and fun come together.
So many people here are getting real lasting joint pain relief from QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics has changed my life.
I would recommend QC to anybody.
The work that QC Kinetics did paid off exponentially.
It brought me back to an effective age of almost in my 20s and 30s.
QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge regenerative medicine, natural biologics from your own body, precision treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your aching joints, with no meds, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime.
I got a very quick resolution to my pain.
It is a all-natural therapy. You're using you to fix you.
I got my life back. I got my smile back. And best of all, I got my laugh back.
Don't live with that pain anymore. And don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Learn more about regenerative options from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
Listen to Stillman and Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop in the Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
It's a special night at First Horizon Park as your Nashville Sounds retire Tim Dillard's number before taking on Charlotte. Pre-game at 6:30.
On your home for Sounds Baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Maybe from the time minicamp ended until training camp began, and maybe how was that different maybe in years when you weren't coming off of an injury?
Actually, I was trying to train the same. Once I kind of left here, I got the freedom to train how I train. So I was being able to get a lot of track work in, trying to work my explosion. Did a lot of single leg landing, single leg jumps. Just really trying to work on that explosion, bounds, being able to just be strong in multiple different positions, especially in like a split position, which I'm mostly in as a receiver.
There you go. That's Robert Woods. And I know, again, that the fans don't watch practice, and I know practice is practice, and I know it's only been 3 days of practice. I am starting to become obsessed with Robert Woods. That is a Fireball Hot Take on Fireball Hot Take Friday. I love Robert Woods. And I was thinking about this today. First of all, you were at his press conference yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. How solid does he seem?
Very solid.
You know,
not even just on the field, because what he's done in training camp so far on the field has been great, but also the way he speaks about not only his own development, but also contributing to the development of some of the younger players, I think speaks to his character as well.
I absolutely love everything about Robert Woods. I love the trade when they made it, because basically the Titans were buying a number 2 receiver, which I think Woods is, a high number 2. They were buying a number 2 receiver with a 6th round pick. Now, yes, he was coming off the injury, but it's an ACL. An ACL is different than almost, any other kind of football injury, because everybody gets them fixed and they come back fine. It's like Tommy John in baseball. You're out for a while, but the player comes back and is okay. So I liked it when they made it, because he was a solid player, still in his prime, not dealing with, degenerative muscle injury like Julio. I loved the Robert Woods trade when they made it. They bought Robert Woods for a 6th round pick. I love the resume when it comes to Robert Woods.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, obviously, years of solid production with the Rams. I love Robert Woods' attitude. He's positive. He says the right things. It comes off as honest. I listened to an interview he did right after minicamp on SiriusXM NFL Radio, and I thought Robert Woods was just, it was insightful and yet so respectful of everybody. And then when he gets up to the podium, he answers every question. And I think he comes off as an incredibly nice guy. I think his personality is perfect for this team, for a guy like Tannehill, for guys like Treylon Burks. Today, Dez Fitzpatrick told Kayla Anderson of News 2 that Robert Woods has mentored Dez. We know that Robert Woods has been mentoring Caleb Farley as they have been rehabbing their knees together. I love his attitude. I love his ability. He's not a game breaker. He's not that kind of player that's going to catch, 6 balls for 180 yards. That's not his game. But he's a high volume guy, and he doesn't drop the football. He runs good routes. He gets open, he catches the football, and he moves the chains. And he did that a lot for Jared Goff with the Rams. I love his role. He's not going to be expected to come in here and be A.J. Brown and make superstar plays for the Titans. He's going to be expected to be a guy that Ryan Tannehill can trust. And while they're going to run the ball with Derrick Henry a lot, they're going to need him to block. He's been a great blocker for the Rams for all those years. He's just a solid wide receiver. He's in shape. He's never had a problem with that. His role is going to be on the field every play, get open, which he does, catch it, which he almost always does, and be other than the knee injury, a steady contributor. I love the expectations for Robert Woods, because I don't think anybody here is thinking that Robert Woods is going to come in and lead the Titans to the Super Bowl and be an all-pro. But last year when they traded for Julio Jones, there was a feeling, even if people would say at the time, well, we're not saying he's going to lead us to the promised land. That was, in my opinion, the feeling that everybody had, which was that Julio Jones was taking the Titans to the promised land. So I like the expectation. And think about this. Over the last 3 seasons, A.J. Brown has averaged 4.3 catches per game, 69.7 yards per game. Robert Woods has averaged 5.6 catches per game and 65.7, so 4 yards less per game than A.J. That is not that big of a difference. And I'm not saying Robert Woods is as good as A.J., but $10 million for Robert Woods, great attitude, leader in the locker room, fits a great role. A.J. Brown, $20 million plus a season, injury history, and the boo-hooing that we saw before he got his contract and trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's the difference between the two of them. The Titans got a great player for a 6th-round pick. And again, let me just say this. I love everything that Robert Woods has shown so far. And he gets open and he catches the ball and Tannehill trusts him. And I think that trust is going to grow. And it was funny listening to Robert Woods talk yesterday, Caroline, because he talked about how important getting the reps with Tannehill are. Yeah, I need to get more reps with Tannehill. I need to get with Tannehill more. I need to be with Tannehill. I need to get reps with Tannehill. Tannehill. And all I remember last year was everybody saying, does it matter that Julio doesn't get any reps with anybody? No.
He's Julio Jones.
He's Julio Jones. And I remember bitching about that and everybody getting mad at me. Well, Robert Woods is out there. And so they'll back him off some. Vrabel even said that, I believe, before training camp started, that Robert Woods' work schedule will look different than other guys. But I'm telling you, I freaking love Robert Woods. I do. I know it's 3 days of practice, but just his attitude, what he means to the guys in the locker room, the role he's expected to play, the production that he's given in the past. I love Robert Woods.
Well, and I like that you bring up the comparison between Robert Woods and A.J. Brown. And per Madden, there's a negligible difference. Because I understand why the expectations for Treylon Burks are to fill the hole that's been left with the AJ trade. Sure. Because you trade AJ Brown, you pick Treylon Burks with that pick that you picked up. So it only seems natural that Treylon Burks has to fit in what AJ Brown did.
Would it be fair to say that trade was AJ for Treylon and Malik Willis?
Yeah, I think that's more
how I
than
view
fair.
that trade.
I think that's more than fair. But I think that bringing in Robert Woods eases a lot of that expectation for Treylon Burks. Even though it wasn't, an immediate trade for AJ Brown and Robert Woods, bringing in a veteran guy like Robert Woods, a guy who you can expect to have a very similar production to AJ Brown, eases so much of the expectation on Treylon Burks, because I understand that Treylon Burks is a rookie. I understand, or it was a 1st-round pick. I understand that Treylon Burks was picked in place of AJ Brown, but we have to remember that Treylon Burks is still a rookie, and Robert Woods eases a lot of that expectation, in my opinion, or eases a lot of the workload on Treylon Burks.
Everybody wants to pick up a veteran and say, this guy's going to be a leader, or that guy's going to be a leader, or this one's going to be.
Well, just because you're a veteran doesn't mean you're a leader.
Robert Woods, and I didn't get this sense listening to him, on a Sirius XM interview or listening to him yesterday. I don't get the vibe that Robert Woods has decided he's going to be the leader of that wide receiver and kind of that, really wide receiver and DBs, he and Byard. I don't get the feeling that Robert Woods walked in and said, I'm the leader, but he is.
But it's natural. And that's even better than him coming in and saying, I'm the leader, because he's just naturally kind of taken this leadership role.
Here's what Cooper Kupp wrote when Robert Woods got traded to the Titans. Quote, there aren't any words that will do Robert Woods the justice he deserves for what he's meant to me over the last 5 years. The standards for what it means to be a pro about your craft, the standard for the sacrifice required to elevate the people around you to be their best, the standard in walking the walk. There's no doubt in my mind the incredible impact he has had on the transformation of the LA Rams for the better. Success is found in the mud, and the only way to affect positive change is by getting your hands dirty. I've appreciated his respect for this and his willingness to get his hands in the dirt so he can leave his fingerprints on the organization. The culture that we live by, the attitude that we take to the field, the mentality with which we prepare, all molded and shaped thanks to Bobby Trees. Thank you for everything, Woody. And I see it. I see it on the practice field, and I see the role that the Titans have for him, and I see I freaking love Robert Woods. I do. It's been 3 practices, and I love Robert Woods. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. You think I'm a little overboard there?
Well, I think you can be excited by what you've seen. You can be cautiously optimistic for what you have yet to see, but knowing that you love him so much that I think if you look at him throughout the rest of training camp with a little bit more of a magnifying glass and looking at it through that scope, and he continues to meet your expectations, I think that weighs even more.
I mean, for Farley,
but also day by day, I want to remind everyone that of not just the rookies, not just Treylon Burks, day by day for Tannehill, day by day for Robert Woods, day by day for Austin Hooper, for everybody.
I feel like the way that Farley and then I didn't know about this with Dez until Kayla Anderson said it to Vrabel, just the way that those guys have apparently just, melted to Robert Woods. I mean, Robert Woods, everything, he is so buttoned up. Everything about Robert Woods is buttoned up. And again, an ACL does not scare me. Those happen all the time. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Your thoughts on Robert Woods. And I have a hot take on Fireball Hot Take Friday about these Titans receivers that, in my opinion, is not a hot take at all. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, live from First Horizon Park, where the Sounds are retiring Tim Dillard's number 17. First pitch, 7:05. Great seats available at First Horizon Park. Stillman and Company, 102.5 The Game.
And here we go! Every Tuesday at 11. The Music City Grand Prix is green! Chase, Willie, and D-Mace will get you set for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix by talking to some of IndyCar's best drivers.
Pleased to be joined by Scott Dixon.
I can't wait, man, and thanks for having me on, and looking forward to getting back to Nashville.
Weekly driver interviews are presented by Social Furniture in West Nashville. Shop their summer blowout sale now till July 31st. 60 months with no interest and same-day delivery. And by the Nashville Sheriff on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Scattered showers and thunderstorms possible this afternoon, but it will be cooler this weekend. Highs fall to the 80s. It's hot and humid again next week.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
Hello, Nashville. Looking to save money on your wireless bill? You can when you choose Consumer Cellular. Sign up today and you'll get the exact same coverage as the leading carriers for half the cost. This gives you direct access to the widest, most established cellular networks available. Consumer Cellular offers flexible monthly plans with no contract and simple, affordable service that's perfect for your lifestyle and budget. Featuring a wide variety of top-of-the-line phones from Samsung, Motorola, and Apple, you'll find a phone that's perfect for you. Everything is backed by a 100% risk-free guarantee, plus 100% U.S.-based award-winning customer support. Switch your talk, text, and data plan before July 31st and get $100 on every new line of service. Right-size your plan and downsize your bill with Consumer Cellular. Visit consumercellular.com/Nashville100 and enter code Nashville100 to start saving today.
Hey, Willie Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
They say to never mess with the classics, but Panera did just that and more with our new Chef's Chicken Sandwiches. By using pan-seared chicken, our secret garlic aioli recipe, Parmesan crisps, and pickle chips, all on a buttery brioche roll. Because if no one messed with the classics, you never have a chicken sandwich this good. New Chef's Chicken Sandwiches from Panera. Only $1 delivery fee when you order on our app. Restrictions apply. For details, visit PaneraBread.com/delivery info.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year.
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Mentioned just how much he's learned from Robert Woods in the past month or so, just all the advice he's taken. He can go to with him with any questions, just how valuable, is it to have a guy like Woods, a vet, in there that can pass on that info?
Well, we like to have that at every position, and obviously, Robert's done it at different places. So when you do it at different places, that means that you've been around other players and, other coaches, and can always add and, bring professional initiative to not only the meeting room, but to an individual that, hey, I struggle with this too. I think there's some amount of empathy that some of these veterans have for the younger guys and saying, hey, I can remember when, I struggled or I dropped the ball or I went through this. And, it's great to have Robert here with us helping, the group and the rest of the offense.
There you go. That was Vrabel talking about Robert Woods and then saying, we hope we get a lot of guys with their leadership. And, it's Robert Woods. He's a different cat now. I have a fireball hot take, and then we'll get to your phones. 615-737-1025 calls and texts. Last year, A.J. Brown had 869 yards. Julio Jones, 434. Anthony Ferguson, 291 for a grand total. This price is right. Of 1,594. That's 531 per guy, led in large part by A.J.'s. The year before, A.J. Brown, 1,075. Corey Davis, 984. Jonnu Smith, 448. For a total of 2,507 yards, 836 yards a person. I feel confident after 3 days of practice, and I, didn't feel totally confident going into the season. I feel confident now, 3 days after practice, that if Robert Woods, I'm not worried about his knee. Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, and Austin Hooper will easily surpass the 1,600 yards that the three of Brown, Jones, and Ferguson had last year. I'm not so confident they'll surpass Brown, Davis, and Jonnu Smith.
2,000 is a lot.
You're asking for almost 1,000 yards a person, 836 yards a person. Maybe Hooper can get more than Jonnu Smith's 448. There's only one football, but I definitely feel better that those three guys, and a lot of it to me has to do with.
But 500 yards from a tight end is asking a lot.
Burks has the big play in him. Burks could be the superstar. I don't know if he will or won't be, but every day at practice, the 2 days that they've really had real practice, Burks has done something superstar-ish both days. Woods, solid. Hooper, solid. And I like that. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com.
Randy texts in and says, it seems like Mariota's last year, there was a big deal made about Marcus going like a week and 10 days without throwing an interception. We saw how that ended.
So I'll say this. I don't remember that. I remember at training camp, in fact, Joe and I were talking about this today when Joe was getting all mad and yelling at me about Tannehill last year at training camp. And I remember looking at the Titans and Patriots practice, and Marcus was on one side, and I didn't really care about Tannehill that much because he was the backup quarterback, but Marcus was throwing, these wobbly ducks that were all over the place. And Tannehill, and then I went down to the other side, and Brady looked like Randy Johnson warming up in the bullpen, just zip, zip, zip. And I was like, I'm not a football expert, but this doesn't look the same. This doesn't look right. Like the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Now, Joe said that Tannehill was way worse than Mariota in those practices. He might be right. I have no recollection of that. But as far as the comparison between Mariota and Brady, I was depressed watching those two practice against each other. So I don't know what the text was referring to. I remember Marcus's rookie year. Marcus didn't throw an interception in training camp for like the first 2 weeks, and that was a big deal. But I don't remember the 2019 counting that one way or another. I remember last year. Last year was the first year that I really started going every single day. And last year, it didn't feel right. This year, it feels much more normal. And I don't know why that is, but it just feels more normal. What do we have?
Maddie texts in and says, this is my prediction. Robert Woods at 950 yards, Burks at 750, Hooper at 550.
550 is a lot to ask for Austin Hooper, for a team that runs the football as much as the Titans run the football. I think the thing about Woods, this is going to sound crazy about the yardage. And I know I said that, I would think that, he has so much more than the other guy. This is what I think is kind of crazy about Robert Woods, which is I don't care so much about the yardage total. I care more about the third down catches and the volume of catches. I see Woods as a heavy volume guy. AJ was not, other than that 49er game, AJ wasn't a heavy volume guy. AJ was take the ball, turn up, run up 75 yards up the field. Woods is not that guy. But I think Woods might be, Tannehill threw it to him 9 times. He caught 7 of them. And 5 of them were for first downs. That is Robert Woods. So to sit there and put a number on, okay, well, Robert Woods is going to have this many yards. I do agree with the logic of the texter that I think that Robert Woods might have more yards. I would have thought last week before watching them that Robert Woods would have more yards than Treylon Burks. The hard part for me is that in 2 real days of practice, Robert Woods doesn't have the kind of yardage Treylon Burks has, which makes me think that Treylon could be more explosive and have the bigger plays and thus have more yards. I
do see Robert Woods, and this is simply just a feeling and a prediction. I see Robert Woods as being that consistent, reliable guy that Tannehill goes to when he can't find someone else.
Yes. I mean, I truly believe that Robert Woods is, I'm going to say this and people are going to get mad because he got hurt the second year, but the 99 Titans that went to the Super Bowl, they ran the ball a lot with Eddie George. They threw it all around and no one guy was a star. Kevin Dyson was kind of starting to emerge at that point in his career before he got hurt. Derek Mason, they didn't use much that year. They didn't really use it all as a receiver that year, which was their fault. But Yancey Thigpen was a veteran, solid guy. And Yancey Thigpen broke his ankle in the AFC Championship game, so he didn't play in that Super Bowl. But that first year, Yancey Thigpen was solid. That first year for the Titans. And Neil O'Donnell played quarterback and McNair played quarterback. And I see that with Robert Woods. Just solid. But the Titans haven't had a lot of solid receivers over the years, so it's hard for me to find a guy to compare him to. What's next?
One texter texts in with another prediction. Says Burks will have more receptions and yards this year than AJ, but fewer touchdowns.
Yeah, I have no idea how to judge that. Yeah. What's next?
Viking Matt texts in and says, I feel like this is what the first 2 weeks of any football camp is like. It's all about building the team chemistry.
I mean, I'll say this about the first 2 weeks last year. 5 training camp practices for Tannehill, 5 interceptions. Right now, 3 training camp practices, 2 real ones for Tannehill, 0 interceptions. So I don't know what every other team around the league is doing. I know that for most teams, it's sunshine and lollipops and rainbows. And I certainly have not been, there hasn't been any major red flags so far at training camp. Christian Fulton's gotten burned twice and he's putting his hands on everybody. I'm not sure I like that, but most camps are sunshine and lollipops, but they're not all sunshine and lollipops. Call the Buccaneers. Because right now they're going through it. Last year, 5 interceptions for Tannehill in 5 practices. By the way, I love this. You see, I sent this morning. Joe decided to text me, Ian, and Caroline. And
at like 7 o'clock this morning.
He was like unhinged this morning. I wonder if they played the 3-minute audio of
they must have been digging
all the
through.
Questions.
Yeah.
Something set him off.
Oh, because Joe was unhinged this morning.
Well, as soon as I got Joe's text, I said, hey, Google, play 102.5 the game.
That's kind of how I felt. So Joe was talking, about Tannehill and his interceptions and how they didn't matter and and I will just say that right now he hadn't thrown one, and that's good. That is a good sign. But Joe's question that we played to Tannehill was him essentially leading. Tannehill's like, so, are you just trying to push the envelope and that's why you're throwing these interceptions? And Tannehill's like, yeah. And I'm like, once you ask a question, you've already got your mind made up. I did not walk into training camp, and the people who listen to the show pretty regularly. I didn't walk into training camp thinking that Treylon Burks was going to wow me 2 of the first 3 days. That is a nice sight to see. 615-737-1025. Probably the single most important thing that happened at today's practice. And when you hear it, you will know exactly why. We'll get to that. And let me say this. It's a big deal. Stillman and Company, 1025 the game. Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. I've been loving Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey for forever because it's so good. It tastes so great. Ignite the night. Please do it responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy. That is Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. This weekend, we celebrate the return of football, and we got to do it no other way on the lake than with Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. That's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
1025 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 1025 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 1025 The Game.
Welcome to 1025 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
It's Tim Dillard bobblehead giveaway night with the Nashville Sounds. Tim's number 17 will be retired prior to the game. Make sure to arrive early for this special ceremony. Plus, stick around for post-game Friday fireworks. Gates open at 6 and first pitch is at 7:05. Get tickets at NashvilleSounds.com.
Summer heat is here. How is your air conditioner holding up? Costs are rising everywhere. Grocery bills, gas bills, utility bills, you name it, up, up, up. Is your AC old, inefficient, costing more than it should? Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Qualified buyers have up to 72 months. No interest for a new York air conditioner and 6 months no interest for repairs. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. All new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. A York certified comfort expert company. Schedule now at springhillac.com.
If you missed the latest on Chase, Willie, and D-Mace,
you make the team because of special teams. Do you feel like that your career would have changed at all if you had some sort of, if they had said like, Derek, hey, look, we're, we'll see what happens in training camp, but we want you to play. We just drafted you out of Michigan State. Floyd's like, hey, we want you to go play in this minor league to get some extra experience. Do you think that would have helped you at all going into the early years of your career, or would it have made a difference?
I don't think it would have made a difference because, my thought pattern then was, hey, I just need to do whatever I need to do to show them, when I get in camp, that I can play, knowing the playbook, doing what I was supposed to do, being where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there. That's on the field and off the field. But it helped me that I was able to sit back and learn and watch.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Blood Assurance, Middle Tennessee's only nonprofit blood centers, announces their Racing to Save Lives promotion. Blood Assurance invites folks to donate at any of their Middle Tennessee locations. Each of the following centers will be giving away a pair of tickets to the Music City Grand Prix. Promotion runs now through July 31st. Visit your Blood Assurance donation center in Bellevue, Clarksville, Columbia, Cookeville, Cool Springs, Hermitage, or Tullahoma. Walk-ins are welcome, or you can go to bloodassurance.org/schedule to make an appointment.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman and Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 102.5. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios on a Fireball Hot Take Friday, live at First Horizon Park, where the Sounds are taking on the Charlotte Knights, the AAA affiliate of the White Sox, here at 7:05. Great seats still available. Titans' third practice is in the books today. They'll practice tomorrow afternoon, and then they're off Sunday, pads on Monday. So be excited about that. So remember how I started the show talking about how some people will just be like, practice. Who cares about practice? It's practice. Some people will always be like that. Some people like Joe Rexroad will, and I love Joe with all my heart, but Joe will go to practice every day and report on practice and then claim that practice doesn't matter. And some of these people are right. They might be right. They might be right. I don't know. If I invest my time going to practice, then I'm going to care about what happens at practice. Just like if I invest my time watching a baseball game or a hockey game, I'm not going to, after the game's over, say, it's one game. I don't do that. If I invest my time, I care. But what I'm about to tell you all, you will undoubtedly care about. Derrick Henry's foot looks good. And I think that's a big deal. Because today, now Derrick Henry almost never practices. And I guarantee you when the pads come out, well, I'm not going to guarantee it, but Derrick is not going to be toting the rock when they're wearing pads and they're thumping people, I would assume. But for the most part, in training camps I've covered for the last couple of years, it's good job, Derek, go off to the side. That was not the case today. In fact, Derrick Henry in 11 on 11 had 4 carries, 2 of which were big long runs. One was to the right. One was a cutback from the left to the right. One was to the left. He also had a run up the middle. Now, one of the ones on the right, the offensive lineman got blown up, and then the defensive lineman, the offensive lineman, and Derek all hit the ground, and a bunch of whistles went off because they didn't want Derrick Henry getting hit on the ground. But Derrick Henry had a catch today in which Tannehill checked it down to him, but it was a crisp route. Derrick caught it, planted on the left foot, so the right foot was the one that was broken, turned on the left foot and sped up. It does not look like he's playing with a plate in that left foot or screws or whatever it is in that right foot. Derrick Henry, I thought, looked fantastic. Again, 4 carries. He had, as I have circled them all here today, 11 on 11. The first play, Derrick Henry, was a run to the right. The second play, Derrick Henry the third play, Derrick Henry run to the right on second down, cut back with a good run. The offensive line outplayed the defensive line on that one. Derrick Henry on a second down caught a pass short from Tannehill, but he cut it up off that left foot, which is good. And then Derrick Henry had a big run to the left in the last 11 on 11 or in 11 on 11 period. Derrick Henry up the middle, Derrick Henry running to the right. So as much as we can sit there and talk about, Racy McMath had a great catch, that might matter. That might not matter. Derrick Henry, first of all, I don't know why Derrick Henry's practicing all of a sudden, but the fact that he is practicing and the foot looks okay, that is a big deal to me. Now, why is Derrick Henry actually practicing? Mike Vrabel was kind of asked about that today. You'll love Vrabel's answer.
Derrick didn't do a whole lot of team drills like early in camp last year. Is that a little bit different this year? Is there any difference?
Every year is different.
There you go.
Okay.
Every year,
succinct.
Every year is different. I said 4 carries for Derrick. As I look over my notes, I correct that. 5 carries for Derrick in 11 on 11. 3 to the right, 1 to the left, 1 to the middle, and he had 1 catch. And then what I call the shell, where they just, it's just the offense and Tannehill's quarterbacking and the other 2 quarterbacks are standing there with footballs and they'll run a play. And then Tannehill will, those guys all run their routes. And then Tannehill will throw a ball, and then Malik will throw a ball to somebody, and Logan Woodside will throw a ball to somebody. Every time that happens, that Derrick Henry was in with Tannehill 5 out of the 8 times they did that. And I don't think that Derrick, when he wasn't in there, that was because I think some of those, I would assume, are probably, to get the other running backs that will play. And you have to have a third down back with Derrick Henry on your team anyways, that the other running backs will be in there. So that's just what that was. It wasn't to me like they were sitting Derrick because of the foot. So why is Derrick practicing in the team drills? I don't know.
And that's my question. Was that Derrick Henry motivated? Was that Titans motivated?
I think it's a Vrabel thing.
It seems like a Vrabel thing, but again, it's a good sign because Vrabel would not push that if the foot wasn't 100%.
And
also, Derrick Henry wouldn't push that if the foot wasn't 100%.
Let's remember, they practice inside the bubble today, which has that field turf. So they had Derrick Henry running on the field turf as opposed to Derrick running on the grass. And again, 5 carries for Derrick Henry, 1 catch for Derrick Henry, 5 out of the 8 opportunities, with Tannehill on the just going over the offense. Derrick Henry's foot looks fine. Let's get back to some more of your phones on training camp. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number. What do we have?
Anthony the plumber texts in and says, how has Hassan Haskins looked? I haven't heard of anything about him at all.
So he got some carries today, but there was nothing. I didn't notice anything about Hassan Haskins.
The past couple of days, I've noticed they've been using him in the passing game. But that's really it.
So let's see. I got 1 run for 25 up the middle in 11 on 11. And I didn't note anything of that would matter as far as Hassan Haskins was concerned. That's 7 on 7, so that doesn't count.
I haven't noticed anything negative about Hassan Haskins.
Hassan Haskins got a nice little run to the right on first down. And I think that's it. I think that's 2 carries for Hassan Haskins. They got a lot of running backs to get carries to whether it's Chestnut, 36, whether it's Wilkins, number 20, and then Hilliard, number 40. They all have to kind of get some runs. So according to this, Hassan Haskins had 2 carries. And I didn't note anything of anything else that they did there. What else we got?
Maddie texts in and says, who's your corner of choice right now after 3 practices, knowing that Christian Fulton isn't killing it?
I mean, I think Farley's been the best corner so far. And I mean, Fulton, like we can't say who starts, but we can tell you who's obviously going to start. Fulton's obviously going to start. So, I mean, again, he got burned those 2, and Kevin Byard chucked him under the bus for it in the nicest Kevin Byard way possible. Kevin Byard chucked him under the bus for it on Tuesday, the first day, or Wednesday on the first day of practice. But as far as like saying, well, look, and I don't even know with the hands and some of the pass interference stuff, a couple of them are pretty blatant, and he's not the only one doing it. I just don't know if it's going to be this season, just flag. I'll say this, Fulton's been aggressive, which I like. Fulton and Farley. And right now, I don't know who's going to start. Like, is Farley going to start? Is Chris Jackson going to start? Is, the more veteran guy? I don't know. I know Fulton's going to start. I know Hooker's going to start. I know Byard's going to start. And I'm pretty sure Molden's going to start in nickel. But, right now, corner of choice, Farley. Farley got a plus today. What else we got?
Carlos texts in and says Ryan Tannehill has his last shot. Plus, Tannehill was almost an MVP candidate last season. Don't know if I agree with that. His strength is running. He needs to throw to his receivers and tight ends.
Well, doesn't every quarterback need to throw to their receivers and their tight ends?
I don't want to take words out of this texter's mouth, but I'm wondering if this texter is saying this is Tannehill's last shot, so he really needs to flex a muscle that he hasn't really flexed a ton.
So
instead of just rolling out and using his legs.
I was on, I did a radio interview in Arkansas today. And you can only assume what the subject matter of the radio interview in Arkansas was. And they asked me how much pressure is on Ryan Tannehill, which, I mean, I'd like to think that I'm probably an expert on that. In all seriousness, if CNN or Fox News or somebody like that were to have a discussion about how much pressure is on Ryan Tannehill, I do think that I would be one of the foremost experts to put on the panel as far as pressure Ryan Tannehill is facing. And I said it today in that Arkansas interview that I believe his career's on the line this season. And not that he can't be a backup if he fails this year, not that he can't be a backup, but in today's society, the NFL, most mid-30s quarterbacks don't want to make $7 million holding the clipboard like Chad Henne or Chase Daniel or any of these guys. I mean, the guys that have made $200 million, they either want to play or they don't want to do it. And I would assume that Tannehill is probably that way. If Tannehill fails this year, there may not be a starting job for him at the end of the year. So how much is at stake? I mean, I think his career is at stake. So I would assume that's probably a lot of pressure. And I would agree with the texter that I think he's playing for his job. The contract is set up that way so that the Titans can easily get out of it at the end of this year if things don't go well. 615-737-1025. Corey Curtis, News 2, will join us next. We'll get his initial thoughts at Titans training camp and what does he think? What does he think about Derrick Henry, Robert Woods, and all the things I'm so happy about? 1025 The Games and 1063 The Game is bringing you Nashville's best coverage of Titans training camp, presented by USA Hemp Store and Parman Energy, your one-stop petroleum solution.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
School is back, and doorbusters are in session at JCPenney. Shop tax-free all weekend. Extended store hours Friday and Saturday. Stock up in-store or buy online now. Pick up curbside later. Shopping is back.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 1063 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. We have a team committed to helping you navigate the court system, whether you've been accused of a crime or you're going through a messy divorce and custody. Call our team to help you navigate this system. We are here to protect your rights, to demand your rights, to enforce your rights. 615-604-6263. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Our diamonds are direct from the source, direct from the cutters. There's no middlemen, there's no markup.
Meet Ben Wilkes, 10-year jewelry professional at Genesis Diamonds.
We've got everything from half a carat all the way up to 15 carats and everything in between. So I never have to go looking for something.
And if you're in search of that one-of-a-kind designer ring,
lots of times they come in and she's got a very specific picture, something that she wants, and she's shocked and amazed when I go right to a case and pull exactly what she's been looking at out.
And beyond the best price and selection, every customer at Genesis gets one-on-one personal attention with no hidden agenda.
Every customer that I've ever worked with has my personal cell phone number. It doesn't come from an automated system. It is person-to-person interaction. We're not on commission, so what that means is regardless of what you buy or don't buy, I'm paid the same.
Genesis Diamonds.
Here you get more, you get bigger, better, you get prettier. The quality, the selection, transparency, customer service, it can't be touched. It's unmatched.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop in the Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
This is a big month for some of our teammates at Cromwell Media. At 102.5, 106.3 The Game, producer Kenny Adams is celebrating a 10-year anniversary. Also at The Game, morning show producer Michelle Knezovic and part-time producer Nick Keyser are both crossing the one-year mark. At 102.9 The Buzz, Eric Steele, our rock star evening host, and Andy Herron, a part-time host, have been with us for 8 years. We are Cromwell Media and proud of our employees who commit themselves to excellence every day. Want to join our team? Contact us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
It's on, it's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way, I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company here live from First Horizon Park, where the Sounds are taking on the Charlotte Knights, night 7:05, and they are retiring Tim Dillard's number 19 jersey before tonight's game. Titans practice day 3 in the books, and I am all about Robert Woods. I love Robert Woods. The big news, though, for me, Derrick Henry's foot. It looked good today. 5 carries for Derrick Henry, 1 catch. He got a plus for how crisp he ran the route, caught the ball, moved up with it, so on and so forth. Corey Curtis from News 2 joins us now on the program, presented by Smokeville Smoke Shop. So, Corey, you've been out at practice some this week. What were your initial takeaways, and how do you feel so far, even though it's early, about the Titans in training camp?
Well, I think, obviously Treylon Burks, that question isn't completely answered yet, but it has taken a huge step in a positive direction. So you have to feel good about that. Robert Woods without a knee brace, you have to feel good about that. Caleb Farley without a knee brace, you have to feel good about that. Ryan Tannehill comes out the first day and is really crisp. And so, again, these are all things that you're feeling really good about. Offensive line, I still don't know. I mean, we got a long way to go there to feel really good about. I think right tackle is up in the air, and we all like Aaron Brewer, but Aaron Brewer is always going to be a guy that they're always going to look for somebody better than, because he's 290 pounds at a position where you're 325, and he may play that position and play it to a premium level this year, and I hope he does. But I'm not sure if there's enough competition at that spot right now. So, I think we've got a lot of questions still on the offensive line, but some of the questions have been answered at wide receiver, and I think that's a big step forward for this team.
Corey, I'm going to read to you my notes from today on Derrick Henry's carry. 11 on 11, 22 run right, cut back, good run. So that's his first. And remember, he broke his right foot. So that cut is going off of the right foot. Derrick Henry on a second down. Tannehill completes short to Henry. Nice. I wrote with a little exclamation point. He ran a nice route, caught the ball, turned up, ran with it. Derrick Henry, big run to the left. Derrick Henry, run middle. Derrick Henry, run right. Defensive line overpowers offensive line. Henry hit ground. Loud whistles come after Derrick Henry hit the ground. 5 carries for Derrick Henry. 5 carries for Derrick Henry. 1 catch for Derrick Henry today. And in the just the offense 11-on-0, Derrick Henry was in there 5 out of 8 times with Tannehill. What do you make of Derrick Henry, who almost never works in the preseason? How optimistic are you that, or not optimistic, how big of a deal is that given the foot injury with Derrick Henry?
That he's not going to play in the preseason?
No. How big of a deal is it that he's out there right now and he's cutting off that left foot? He's getting 5 carries. He's involved in it. How big of a deal is that?
Well, I mean, look, he should be healthy. I mean, we're like 9 months removed from that surgery. So, I mean, he should be healthy. He should be rested. He should be strong. So, I mean, I think he needs the work. I think he knows he needs to work. And working with some new offensive linemen, they need the work together. So, I mean, it's all a positive step in the right direction. I don't know how you have felt about this as much as I have, but, you know, look, the offense still needs to center around Derrick Henry, but I still feel like it's got to be more balanced as far as the pass, and they may want to get some other guys some touches. He's had 900 carries the last 3 years, and I know everybody thinks he's like a superhero, but he's not, because we saw it last year. You know, the foot was broken. They found ways to replace the yards. They were able to score without him. So I think that they can show they can be more balanced, and I think they will get more out of him in the long run. He looks huge now. You know, he looks ready to work. And so, I mean, those things are all good. I'm not worried about Derrick Henry and his health at all. The only thing I want to know is where is the burst at? Where is the speed? You know, if he still has that 20 to 80, because that's what makes him really, really special.
What's your worry level, Corey Curtis, on Derrick Henry returning to the Derrick Henry of old, given his age and the carries that he's taken over the last 3 years?
You know, probably like a 6. You know, maybe a 6.5, because, like I said, 900 carries over the last 3 years. That's a lot. He is getting close to 30, and it doesn't take losing a lot. You can, I mean, if you just lose that third of a step or quarter of a step, it can be the difference between, I said, like, you know, turning 20 into an 80-yard run. And so that's why I said there is some concern there for me until I see it. Do I think he'll be able to do it? Yeah, I do, but I need to see it. So there is a little concern.
Corey Curtis, News 2, is our guest. Joe Rexrode came up to me today at practice to yell at me about our arguments.
Did he apologize?
No. He is like quadrupled down. So that was what he came to yell at me about, was the idea that Tannehill last year, who threw 5 interceptions in his first 5 days of training camp, that didn't foreshadow the season that Tannehill had. My question for you, Tannehill, 9 of 11 today, no interceptions. He's 17 of 19 and 7-on-7 and an 11-on-11. And his incompletions are right now to Josh Malone and to Dez Fitzpatrick. He's hitting Burks. He's hitting Hooper. He's hitting Woods. How big of a deal is that to you?
I think it's a big deal because, I mean, I think the way you go into camp, I mean, we've seen it, is the way he's going to go into the season. He turned the ball over a lot last year in camp. He turned it over a bunch in the season. And he is obviously, you know, connecting with these guys early, and that's a really good sign. You know, last year also they had all the issues with getting bodies on field in camp, and that's got to be helping him out as well. Having Robert Woods out there, having Treylon Burks out there, having Nick Westbrook-Ikhine out there, you know, having Austin Hooper out there. He's got his guys out there, and that's certainly going to help him. But, you know, for him to be focused and to be accurate, I think is a very, very, very good sign for this football team.
Corey Curtis, News 2, presented by Smokeville Smoke Shop, is our guest here on the program. I am in love with Robert Woods, Corey. Everything about what Robert Woods has brought to the team. I mean, I love his resume. I love his attitude. I love the ability that he's shown. I've loved the role that I think the Titans have carved out for him. I love the expectations that the Titans have for him. And even today, Kayla Anderson asked Des Fitzpatrick. Des Fitzpatrick said that Robert Woods has been mentoring him. Yesterday, Robert Woods talked about how much he and Caleb Farley have been rehabbing together and the relationship they have. I think this is an absolute steal for a 6th-round pick. Are you as wowed early on with Robert Woods as I am?
I'm not going to say wowed. I'm wowed by his recovery, but this is what I expect from Robert Woods, because Robert Woods is a pro's pro. I'm going to throw out a couple of really good names for you to compare him to with other Titans additions in recent years. Roger Saffold, DeMarco Murray. Those are guys who came in and who were pros, and it showed for this team from the moment they walked in the door. And I think Robert Woods is right along those lines of DeMarco Murray and Roger Saffold. I'm not saying he's going to go to a Pro Bowl, but he is going to be a solid player for this team who they can ask to do absolutely anything. He loves football. He loves being around the guys. The guys like learning from him. I agree with you. I mean, the Rams gave him away to get under the cap. I don't know why they were so anxious to get away from him to get to Allen Robinson, but, maybe it was the knee. I don't know. But look, that one looks like a slam dunk by J-Rob right now, for very, very little risk and high reward.
How big of a deal to you was what Treylon Burks did the first day, and he followed it up today with a pretty good day?
It's a big deal. It is a big deal because all we had were question marks. And how much pressure do you think a guy who just went through the summer he went through, I don't know if he listens to the radio, I don't know if he reads on the internet about himself, but, I mean, people were all over him this year. I mean, every week I was on the show, I was asked, am I concerned about Treylon Burks? And I finally just said, I just want to see the guy play. I think that was 2 weeks ago, I think I said to you guys, I just want to see the guy play. And guess what? He can really play. And I know we're a long way from playing other teams, but when you see the skill set to make some of the plays that he's made in practice, you see what separates him from other guys on top of being 6'2", 225 pounds. Those 10-inch hands and that extension he has are incredible. And, his catch radius is huge, and he's going to make Tannehill a more accurate quarterback. And so, look, I don't know what he's going to do this year, but I'm anxious to see him in a game to see if he can shake some tacklers like AJ shook tacklers and making small plays into big plays, because that's something else that can make him really special. But, the things we talked about him doing coming in here, going deep, high pointing the football, we're 3 days into camp and he's doing it. And, if he wasn't doing it, we'd be saying, are you concerned? So if he's doing it, you've got to be pleased. And so I think there's a lot that's pleasing about him. He's in shape. He obviously took the criticism, okay. He can obviously take the pressure, which I think is a really, really good sign that he didn't crumble or wilt under the pressure of what happened this spring.
Corey Curtis, News 2 on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. What is your hot take this week?
I just got to say that News 2 is losing a good one. We are losing a good one. Emily Proud
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It hurts my heart to hear this, Corey.
Yeah, Emily Proud will be leaving us in the next few weeks. She'll be anchoring Sports Today at 6 and 10. But those will be her final sportscast outside of Sports Extra. And so I'll just tell you quickly, Emily was an intern of mine out of Belmont. I never thought we would get the chance to hire her because she was an outstanding intern, and I always thought she would just skip right over us. And we've had her for 4 years, and she has been as fine of a coworker as I have had in my 20 years at News 2. And so I congratulate her, wish her the best of luck, and we're really going to miss her.
We are going to miss her. Corey Curtis, News 2, presented by Smokeville Smoke Shop. Great stuff, Corey. We'll see you on Sunday for News 2 Sports Extra at 10:35,
That's right.
where King Handsome will be making an appearance.
Yeah, we'll have big gulps on the couch and ready to go.
There you go. Corey Curtis, News 2, joining us. Appreciate you, Corey.
Thanks, Jim.
Let me say this. I'm bummed out about Emily Proud.
I know, she's so wonderful.
I'm bummed out.
She's so good at what she does.
I mean, I'm happy for her.
Super happy for her.
She is fantastic at what she does. And as Corey brought, she's an even better person. But I'm bummed out.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
so bummed out.
I am bummed out.
I'm bummed out too. I will miss seeing her at Titans practice and around these
Just
parts.
wherever.
I
mean,
she's great, and she's gonna do great at whatever she does next and everything after.
Like, the thing I like about Emily Proud is that, she can talk to trash now. That she can get up there, she can hold her own, she can much better than Joe. When Joe gets you remember how Corey said, has Joe apologized to me yet? You're on the text chain. Joe has quadrupled down on his Tannehill interceptions. Now he's moving the goalposts a little bit, but he has quadrupled down on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Oh, man. There's an NFL story that I'm so sad about. Cancel culture has come to training camp. We'll explain on the other side. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. That's right. Those are my guys. July's almost over, so get in with the home of the free this month with the special deals that Hiller has for their customers. This month only, take advantage of free whole home surge protection and interest-free financing for 12 months with the purchase of a new whole home generator. They got a free programmable thermostat and interest-free financing for up to 48 months on select new HVAC units and a free water sensor leak detector and interest-free financing for 12 months when you buy a new tankless water heater. All of these purchases come with a free Happy Hiller Club membership. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee, and these deals are only happening in July, so customers should call as soon as possible. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840,
players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head.
What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
For the first time in history, the FedEx Cup playoffs will begin at TPC Southwind, August 10th through 14th. Don't miss your chance to watch the top 125 players from the FedEx Cup standings compete for the PGA Tour's ultimate prize, the FedEx Cup. Only 70 players will make it through Memphis and on to the next round of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Daily grounds and upgraded ticket options are on sale now at FedExChampionship.com.
Hey, Willie Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
I tend to second-guess dinners with friends because they're often interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit Creon.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREON.com.
Sunday night.
Out of here! Nico Horner! Bell drives one to right. Out of here!
Sunday Night Baseball features the Cubs taking on the Giants in San Francisco. Coverage begins at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
First of all, the fact that you had this impromptu press conference and the Arizona Cardinals' subsequent move of deleting that addendum was just all a colossal mistake by both parties in the situation. Because even with the clause in the contract, they could have let this whole thing drift into the training camp night if they had just went about their business. But they rehashed this whole thing, and now it's a story for us to talk about, for a good amount of time. That's number one. Number two, Kyler, you signed the contract. Mm-hmm. You signed it. Like your representative and yourself, you agreed to it. So, it's hard for me to talk about the Arizona Cardinals. They put it in the contract, but you ultimately signed the contract. It's like an agent. It's like as an athlete, how we're ultimately responsible for things we put in our body. There's no argument about that. And ultimately, Kyler Murray, you are responsible for this because you signed the contract. And it just speaks volumes that they would even put this in the contract. It tells everyone, as far as what the organization thinks about your preparation, your leadership, and how you go about your business within that Arizona Cardinals facility. That's what I think about this whole scenario.
There you go. Damian Woody, boy, he's fired up.
Yeah, he is.
And he should be, because cancel culture has come for Kyler Murray's contract addendum. I saw this last night. I saw Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, and he tweeted out the Cardinals now should rip up the addendum in Kyler's contract. And I saw that. And of course, if you don't know what that is, that's the 4 hours study hall per week that independent study that Kyler has to do per week. I heard Shannon Sharp yesterday. He was screaming about it, about how embarrassing it was for Kyler Murray.
Oh, it's embarrassing for both parties.
Well, when I heard Florio say that the Cardinals should rip it up, I was like, no,
why?
No, don't rip it up. And then Ian Rappaport reported last night that the Cardinals have essentially rescinded the addendum in the contract of Kyler Murray. Now, I'll say this. I think they had to do that. Because if they didn't do that, wouldn't every Wednesday press conference that Kyler Murray goes to the podium, which every quarterback in the NFL is required to have a Wednesday or Thursday press conference, wouldn't every week Kyler Murray be asked about his, have you done your 4 hours of study hall yet, Kyler? Like every single week. And that's so demeaning to a franchise quarterback. But
isn't the clause itself demeaning to a franchise quarterback?
The clause itself is demeaning. The need for the clause itself is demeaning. I mean, all of it is, it's a massive red flag. And for Kyler to get up there and act as if it shouldn't be a massive red flag to all of us, it is.
But I think the biggest thing that frustrated me from Kyler's press conference was him acting like this was something that the media just overly inflated. No. The media did not pull that out of thin air. The media did not make this up. This was something that was leaked out of your contract that you signed. And Kyler Murray saying that people are jumping to conclusions about it. Well, what other conclusion is there to jump to? It says that in order for Kyler Murray to play out whatever's listed in his contract, he needs to at least prepare for 4 hours a week, which makes me believe that either he hasn't done that in the past or he has struggled with that in the past. So there is no conclusion to be jumped to. It is clearly listed in his contract. So don't act like this is some sort of media bloviation.
Well, I think too, and I use a broadcast example, Pat Summerall, great broadcaster. CBS told Pat Summerall, if you don't go to rehab, you're going to be fired as the lead broadcaster at CBS. Knock on wood. I've never been told by management that I have to go to rehab. Why?
Because it hasn't been a problem.
Because there's been no need for it. You don't have to put that clause in Peyton Manning's contract because everybody knows that Peyton Manning's going to watch tape. I mean, I go back to when Shannon Sharp was losing his mind the other day when he found out about this contract clause, which I laugh about because I always laugh when star athletes get mad at Shannon Sharp, as if Shannon Sharp's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Shannon Sharp said that John Elway on Mondays, because this was before iPads and digital files and things like that, that on Mondays, John Elway would come into the building after a game on Sunday. And Shannon said that he would have like a bag over his shoulder like he was Santa Claus, and it was full of tapes, because those were the tapes that on Monday, John Elway was taking home to go watch on Monday night and all day on the off day Tuesday to be ready to go for practice on Wednesday. And that's the standard that he's seen. I mean, I have not done a whole lot of watching ESPN or any of that this week because I've been so locked into Titans training camp. But off the top of my head, I heard Shannon Sharp lose his mind about this clause. We just heard that cut from Damian Woody, who's a Super Bowl center. Losing his mind over this clause. Pat McAfee, who is as player friendly as they get. Pat McAfee saying that it was alarming to hear that about Kyler Murray. I'm with you. Kyler Murray playing the victim card on a contract that he signed with an agreement that he agreed to is freaking absurd.
Don't give me that, crybaby. Don't give me that.
But the thing that I can't get over is this, and that is Arizona has invested so much in this guy, and yet even they think he's lazy. I mean, think about the whole Kyler thing, and this is, Arizona. They draft Kyler Murray number 1 overall. And Kyler's the starter, and they get a coach for Kyler, and they're great. 3 years in, now they can finally give Kyler a contract extension. A week after the Pro Bowl, Kyler's throwing a fit because he's not getting a contract extension. Kyler continues to throw a fit the whole time, and it was because Arizona didn't want to give him a contract extension. Because Arizona, I assume, wanted to let it play out a little bit more. Well, let's see how he does in year 4. I mean, after 3 years, if the Titans were told, hey, you either have to give Mariota an extension or not, they probably would have given Mariota an extension. At least it would have been discussed. But Kyler Murray is not Joe Burrow, where Cincinnati's owner can come out last week and say, oh, yeah, we want to give Joe Burrow an extension here. Kyler's not that guy. So then Arizona acquiesces to Kyler's crying, and they give him a contract, which I didn't like to begin with. But then they put this little secret clause in there that nobody knows about it originally, about how Kyler has to do the bare minimum of preparation outside of football in order to earn all his guaranteed money. Then cancel culture, because everybody laughed at him so much. By the way, if you really want to cancel something, don't be outraged. Laugh at him, because apparently if you laugh at him, it'll get him to do something more so than outrage. But everybody around the country laughs at Arizona. They laugh at Kyler, and Arizona says, oh, we decided to rescind that. Well, think about this. What if Kyler actually is that lazy? And it sounds like he is. Let's say Kyler is that lazy. Well, that addendum was important, because if Kyler fails to do what the addendum says, then they void all the guaranteed money. Then it's pretty much a year-to-year contract for Kyler Murray. Well, that's gone. So now Kyler can be lazy, and you still owe him 160 guaranteed. I mean, Arizona, what are you doing, babe? What are the Cardinals thinking? If you had to put this special clause in the contract that no NFL player had ever heard of, because you think he's that lazy. You think he is that lazy. And so you put this clause in there, and now you're like, well, people laughed at us for a couple days and Kyler got mad. So let's rescind this clause that protects us against Kyler being too lazy. Even though we're concerned that Kyler's going to be too lazy, let's just rescind this and go ahead and guarantee that $160 million.
But now I'm laughing even more at the Arizona
Cardinals.
Oh,
it's so sad. What a
because
sad,
not
sack
only did you guarantee that much money to a quarterback that you obviously think is lazy.
You don't love him that much.
Now you've been influenced enough by people laughing at you over the past couple of days, so you're just going to take it away? Well, that doesn't show a whole lot of a backbone. That doesn't show a whole lot of a spine.
No backbone all offseason from Arizona.
No. Because Kyler Murray's going to cry all offseason, and you bend the knee to a quarterback that you probably, based off of that clause, I don't think you believe in him very much.
They don't.
How can you? But you guarantee him that much money and give him what he's been crying about on your own terms, and you take your own terms away because you're afraid it makes you look weak.
I believe
that makes you look weaker.
I believe the Arizona Cardinals are not good at when people that are in big positions discuss making hard decisions. The Arizona Cardinals, I see a lot of protecting their jobs, Keim and Kingsbury, more than I see doing their jobs and running their operation. I think they're a joke. I think Kyler's a joke, but I think they're a bigger joke than Kyler is, especially after rescinding the clause. 615-737-1025. Add that to the docket. We'll get back into some of your phone calls. Bunch of NFL stuff to get into all throughout training camp, including how long do you think the Eagles have been in training camp for?
A couple days.
A.J. Brown's already started a fight. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5 The Game.
It's training time for the Two-Tone Blue, and we have you covered. Talking Titans? Join us live from training camp for interviews and reports, giving you the latest on the Titans.
There's a lot of guys that are making an impact on me, both good and bad.
I like some of the depth. I think that's the key right now.
Training camp coverage is fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Scattered showers and thunderstorms possible this afternoon, but it will be cooler this weekend. Highs fall to the 80s. It's hot and humid again next week.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you're looking to hire, look to Indeed. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey, I'm Matt Saggio. I'm a marketing consultant with Cromwell Media. I get the opportunity to help local and regional businesses grow by pairing the right marketing solutions with their goals. You hear advertisers I work with on the radio every day, and you see their digital ads on your phone. I love what I do, and I've been doing this for going on 10 years. Are you looking for a rewarding career in media advertising? Do you love helping people? Let's talk about you joining our team. Shoot us an email at together@cromwellmedia.com. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Inviting you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just 3 guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt. Hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Stone & Company live at First Horizon Park. What's $20 buy you today? Maybe a trip to the ice cream store with your kids, tickets to a Sounds game, a movie ticket with a little to spare for popcorn. $20 also buys a new pair of athletic shoes for homeless children in Middle Tennessee. Yes, just $20. And we're on a mission to help the thousands of homeless children start the school year with a new pair of shoes. Will you join us in that effort? Text DONATE to 615-737-1025 and throw in $20 more if you'd like, but $20 will make a huge difference. That's donate 615-737-1025, and let's make the first day of school even more special for these kids.
What are you giggling at?
What?
Chuckles.
I wasn't chuckling. These kids need shoes.
These kids do need shoes.
So apparently A.J. Brown got into it at Eagles practice. I'm not sure what to make of this. I do. This is just me. I do care about A.J. Brown because I always wonder what it could have been or what it would have been. Or we talk about Kyler and his babiness and bending the knee to him, and the Titans didn't do that with A.J. David Cohen, who works for 97.5, The Fanatic, covering the Eagles, said Jalen Hurts threw behind A.J. Brown. Shocker. Jalen Hurts threw behind A.J. Brown over the middle, and Brown ripped an interception out of Darius Slay's hands. The two had to be separated after Slay made an incomplete gesture towards the wide receiver. So Jalen Hurts throwing a ball behind the receiver, Darius Slay not coming up with the interception, and then getting up and doing the incomplete, which I don't mind if you make a great play if you're a DB. Yeah. You make a great play to bat a ball down, get up, incomplete. What I don't like are three things doing the incomplete. One, when you could have had a pick and you didn't intercept it. Two, when you clearly interfere with the guy and you get up and do the incomplete and the flag comes out. I cannot stand that. And then the third thing is
nothing.
Yeah, when nothing happened and like the receiver dropped the ball and get up and do that.
Or like the quarterback overthrew him by 5 yards and you get up and incomplete. That was not you, brother. That was not you.
But anywho, AJ, having to be separated. Like AJ, it's the third day at the new job.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's training camp.
Yeah, it's the third day at the new job.
Can you have beef already? And also, it's training camp. It's practice.
AJ
Calm
just
down.
He's too volatile. He's just too volatile. And I think that's why the Titans got out of the AJ business and into the Burks business. And it feels a lot better to be in the Burks business this week than it did this time last. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have a thought, by the way, I was told that as far as tearing up Kyler's portion of his addendum of his contract, that Arizona has two options. They can either not enforce the clause, but the clause stay in the contract, or they can sign a new contract without the clause, but they cannot, quote unquote, rip up the clause.
Okay, so they can't just take it out of what is already constructed. Well, why have it in there if you're not going to enforce it?
Well, think about this.
Well, I have a feeling that they're going to keep it in there, say we're not going to enforce it, and then enforce it because it's in writing that it's in the contract.
That would be freaking awesome.
Well, because they can say all day long, we won't enforce it.
But then how do you
is on paper?
But then how do you track it if you're Arizona, right? So if the contract was signed the way it was signed and everything was on the up and up, and Kyler thought that he had to spend 4 hours, they could say, hey, here's an iPad. And, you have to watch this and we'll electronically track, if you watched it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they're not going to be able to make him do that. So they can't track whether or not he's doing it if they're not enforcing it. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Like he can't show up in the office.
If you say you're not going to enforce it, then he's going to say, well, then why are you tracking it?
Right. Like let's use the Minnesota Vikings as an example. Let's say this is Kirk Cousins. And they really want to move on from Kirk. And then all of a sudden it's, hey, Kirk, I'm the new general manager. We're voiding all the guarantees in your contract because you didn't meet this criteria that we said that we were not going to enforce. And we haven't asked you to sign any paperwork saying that you've, lived up to your end of the bargain.
Well, legally, the Arizona Cardinals can just say they're not going to enforce it and then enforce it. Or they could say, hey, we're going to track it. We're not going to void your contract if you don't meet the 4 hours, but we're going to track it for our records.
Well, then here's another question too about they can either not enforce it or they can sign him to a new contract. Do you get do-over contracts in the NFL, or would signing Kyler to a new contract be like cutting him and then re-signing him again and then accelerating all the guaranteed money into the 1 year of the cap?
Or if they sign him to a different amount of money? Say, if you're not willing to be enforced to these 4 hours a week of independent,
have to do something that they didn't say that they did.
it's fishy. It's weird. This whole thing is weird.
Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com on a Fireball Hot Take Friday.
Austin texts in and says, doesn't it make sense now why Kyler fades in the second half of every season? Other teams are making adjustments while he continues to play the same every week. It's pathetic.
I believe Cliff Kingsbury had a similar fade when he was in college at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is anything new. I mean, he's certainly culpable as well. I believe that you cannot win in the NFL with Kyler Murray as your quarterback. And you all know how I feel about Tannehill and winning the Super Bowl. I'm not sure the Titans can do with Ryan Tannehill. I'm not sure Kyler Murray can lead a franchise, like truly lead a franchise. And I keep bringing up Vince Young because when Vince Young was on the Titans and he was Rookie of the Year and he was in the Pro Bowl and they were in the playoffs, just like all the things that have happened to Kyler, Vince was way more electric than Kyler was. And Vince was getting the Titans put on Sunday Night Football, and he was getting the Titans put in these primetime games, and they won a lot of games because of Vince Young. But it's obvious, and it's easy to say in hindsight, but it's obvious that Vince Young could never go toe-to-toe consistently with the great players and the great teams in the NFL. And I think Kyler's the same way. I think Kyler is Vince Young, except short. But I think he's Vince Young, and I love Vince Young. But Vince had his limitations that existed because of Vince. What's next?
Another texter texts in and says, I don't buy it that you can be that lazy and be in the MVP discussion before you get injured and supposedly be that lazy.
Vince Young. Vince Young. That's what I say to anybody who says, because that was Kyler's defense, was you can't do what I've done if you're this lazy. And to that I would say, Vince Young. How many Pro Bowls does Kyler have? Two. How many did Vince Young have? Two. Kyler was Rookie of the Year. Guess what? So was Vince. Kyler was, you can't do what I did in college and win the Heisman. Vince didn't win the Heisman. He finished second to Reggie Bush, but he was the most electric player in college football and carried that Texas team to the national championship. Vince Young, and I was thinking about this because I said this yesterday on the show. Pound for pound, Vince Young might be the most talented Titan player ever. And I have determined that just pure, raw God-given ability, the most talented Titans, just their body just oozing a talent. I would argue that Javon Curse and Vince Young, and there was a third guy, forget who, Chris Johnson, that those are the three most talented players the Titans have ever had, just sheer God-given talent. And Javon Curse and Chris Johnson, and those guys aren't going to be Hall of Famers, but those guys were the very best at what they did in the NFL for a small period of time. Vince never was. And Vince never was because I don't believe that the quarterback can be that lazy. I do not believe that you can have a lazy quarterback. And that's what Vince was. So when people say, you can't do what Kyler did if you can't. Vince Young did it, and he was lazy. What's next?
David texts in and says, I don't think it's laziness. I think it's arrogance.
I mean, I certainly think Kyler's arrogant if he's going to tell the New York Times last year that he doesn't watch film and that he just thinks he can feel it. But that's lazy. That's lazy.
But laziness and arrogance is a very dangerous combination.
Sure. I mean, again, if everybody's worried about a quarterback playing, how of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, how many of them played video games during the regular season?
I don't know.
How can they play video games during the regular season? I'm serious about this. I grew up, and so I'm guessing most of these quarterbacks did as well, in the video game era.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I played video games as a kid. I don't play video games now. And my day-to-day job is not as demanding as their day-to-day jobs from July until January. And so if Kyler Murray's going to play all these video games, he has to be lazy. And when we talk about people who are lazy, you know what we discuss a lot of the time with one of the things that lazy people love to do? Play video games. So The idea of an NFL quarterback playing video games during the season is disgusting. Like, it is disgusting.
Well, to be fair, if we're going to have that conversation about Taylor Lewan doing the podcast in the middle of the season and say that is a very, very bad idea, I would say the same thing about video games.
Video games.
But also to that same point, how much of it is like, you don't need to spend 24 hours a day dedicated to football every single day.
You need to spend 24 hours a day not playing video games in the season if you're making $40 million a year.
That is fair.
There you go. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Am I becoming too much of a Titans homer? I am worried, and I'm starting to get called out on it. Or is my opinion valid? We'll discuss next. Stillman and Company, live from First Horizon Park on 102.5 The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Ford. When this hot summer weather comes, I'm reminded of what my grandmother used to say. It's so hot outside, the hens are using pot holders to pick up the worms. I was never really sure what that meant, but when she said it, I knew it was hot. I mean, if things are hot, that tells you something, and it's not always good. Take your car, for example. If it's running hot, something's wrong. If your air conditioner, like so many people, is blowing hot these days, something's wrong. When your tires get hot, they wear out faster, which means something's wrong. But here at Newton, we want to help right those wrongs. We have an amazing service department that'll keep your car running its best through all this heat. We have amazing technicians ready to diagnose and repair your car no matter what the problem is. We want to keep your car running smoothly in the easiest way possible. So let us help. Schedule your service online today at newtonford.com.
Family Leisure is having a come out and play sale.
That's right. Family Leisure is inviting you to come out and play with the new swimming pool, spa, or patio furniture set.
Hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. DIY pools start at only $16.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed.
Installation in less than 10 days on average.
More than 100 spas in stock and incoming. Artesian, Strong, and LPI spas starting at only $29.99.
What about the patio furniture?
Family Leisure has hundreds of sets in stock and on sale. Hanneman, Woodard, Tropitone, and Loft, all ready for immediate delivery.
Family Leisure also has the Sabre infrared grill in stock and on sale at only $11.99, and the Bull Grill Islands at only $39.99.
And Family Leisure has the Diamond Point Play Gym at only $25.99 installed and ready for immediate delivery.
Pool tables, massage chairs, and theater seating all on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Come out and play at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman and Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury. He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios at First Horizon Park where the Sounds are taking on the Charlotte Knights, the AAA affiliate of the White Sox. Tim Dillard, longtime Sound, is going to have his number 17 jersey retired. Be excited for that tonight. So it would not be right on this Fireball Hot Take Friday if all I ever did was analyze everybody else and never analyze myself. Is that fair to say?
I think that is very fair to say.
Okay. And I think that's the reputation a lot of talk radio people get, is that they will say this guy sucks or that guy's not very good or you need to fire this guy, but they won't ever look at themselves. I try to be fair. Now, we all know I'm a Titans fan. And I've been out of training camp, and I love Robert Woods, and I love Traylon Burks so far through 3 days, and Tannehill hasn't thrown an interception, and Derrick Henry's foot looks A-okay, and those things get me excited. And everybody knows I want the Titans to win, and I do believe that one of the strengths of what was originally the Jared and the GM program and this program is that when people would listen to the show, they may not agree with me, but they knew that Floyd and I wanted the Titans to win, that we were Titans fans, that we were Predators fans, that we wanted them to win. I don't lie about that. I tell the truth. But I also keep it real, and I'm not afraid to say what I think, and I'm not afraid to say it to anybody. And I feel, I don't make things personal. I try to keep it one way or another. This is on Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio, and I was discussing coaches in the NFL. And when I go on Sirius XM, I don't talk about the Titans. I don't do Titans topics on Sirius XM. I don't do Predators topics on Sirius XM. I do what you would expect every national radio. Dak Prescott, Brady, the Patriots, LeBron, the Yankees. Yes. So I think the most interesting storyline is not Chigakonkwo of the NFL training camps like Joe Rexrode thinks. But I think Bill Belichick is the most interesting storyline to me. By the way, Bill had a press conference in which he just praised Mac Jones. And it's almost weird. It almost feels like it's personal between him and Brady, and that Mac Jones is the new Instagram boo. Like, it's weird. And so I said on Sirius XM that I think the biggest storyline going into camp is Belichick. It's time for Belichick to win and not make the playoffs and get annihilated and fall that rookie court. No, Bill, it's time to win. Tom won. It's time for you to win a little bit. And so I got all these callers calling in all over the place, all mad, whatever. And so somebody asked, who's better coach? And I said that I believe at this point, Mike Vrabel, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan are better coaches at this point in time than Bill Belichick. And this was a caller from Baltimore who was not happy about my Vrabel best coach in the NFL take. Here was the interaction.
Let's get back into your phones. 888 Mad Dog 6 is our phone number. 888-623-3646 is the number if you want to get in. Ian is in Baltimore on the coaches. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Ian.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Nice show. I enjoy listening to you. A question: Where are you based? Like, what's
Nashville?
Based out of? Oh, man, you must really be on that hype train of Mike Vrabel. I like Mike Vrabel. I think he's a good, old-fashioned, tough coach. But there's no way you could have him the best coach in the league over. I wouldn't even put him ahead of Sean McDermott. I wouldn't put him ahead of John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid. Like, Mr. 9-7 himself, he's one and done in the playoffs twice. 1 year didn't even make the playoffs. I can't take any. I'm just at a loss for words.
Like, I'll say this about Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel, the best coach in football. I can understand Sean McVay. He's a young, offensive-minded guru.
Well, it's easy to say that the guy who just won the Super Bowl is the best coach. It's easy to say that. But a lot of guys who weren't great coaches won Super Bowls.
Okay. Is the Vrabel is the best coach in the league a homer take?
I don't think I would go that far.
But is it a homer take?
Maybe a little bit.
Ian, do you think Vrabel is the best coach in the league as a homer take?
I mean, he did win Coach of the Year last year, so that's an argument.
So did Kevin Stefanski.
True. And Stefanski's probably not the best coach, but I think if you were to go just based off of last year, you could make the argument that Vrabel is the best coach in the league and not be a homer take just because of that, but maybe a little bit of a homer take, maybe just a little.
So here's the way that I think about it. I think yes and no. And I would love to hear the community's thoughts on this, 615-737-1025. Here's my thing about Vrabel being the best coach, which is I don't believe that the guy who just won the Super Bowl is the best coach. That's easy to say. You know, Sean McVay is the best. When they played in LA, Vrabel outcoached him. And Chris Collinsworth brought that up on the broadcast. Now, Andy Reid outcoached Vrabel in the AFC Championship game, but I'm not sure that coaching was the difference in the AFC title game. Vrabel has outcoached Belichick 3 times in the 3 times they've played. Shanahan, Vrabel, they've only faced each other once, and I didn't feel like coaching decided it on either side. That was Garoppolo and A.J. Brown.
Yeah,
that was
and A.J. Brown
what happened in that game. So I'm not going to put that there. But when I think of coaching, I think of the fact that, again, I know the details of what Vrabel's done. Yeah, I know. I watch Vrabel every week.
I think it might make it a homer.
That's where I think the homer thing comes in, is that I know what Vrabel's working with and dealing with. Like, I know that the Titans were 2-4 in 2019 and turned it over to Tannehill and all of a sudden started winning games. I know that Vrabel outcoached McVay last year, that he's beaten Sean McDermott 2 years in a row, and Sean McDermott has had Super Bowl contenders. I know those things that I don't know about Sean McDermott. I don't know what Sean McDermott does on a week in and week out basis. If I had to tell you the coaches that I feel the most comfortable judging, it'd be Vrabel and Frank Reich. And that's probably because I watch them the most. But I believe Mike Vrabel's the best coach because, unlike those guys, Mike Vrabel doesn't have the kind of superstars that it feels like the other coaches have.
But also, we talk about winning being a quarterback stat. Winning absolutely is a coaching stat as well. And to that caller's point, Sean McVay's won a Super Bowl. Andy Reid has won a Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season.
He's won a Super Bowl.
He's won a Super Bowl. Mike Vrabel hasn't done that yet. So I think maybe Mike Vrabel is underrated in the eyes of national football fans because he hasn't gotten to the big dance, hasn't won a Super Bowl. So maybe nationally, Mike Vrabel doesn't get enough credit. But maybe here, we know so much about Mike Vrabel. We are so hyper-focused on Mike Vrabel that it's difficult to think that he isn't the best coach in the league.
Here's what's crazy, though. Every time I hear a national media person talk about Vrabel, it's always positive.
Love Mike Vrabel.
It's always, Vrabel, he's a great guy. He'll have those boys ready to play. Vrabel, he gets it. He works it. That's Mike Vrabel. I mean, I rip Mike Vrabel's ass every time he does something I don't like. Every single time. And so, look, you all have heard me over the years. Vrabel's done a lot of things that have driven me nuts. They beat Tampa Bay in 2019 in a game in which Mike Vrabel called for a fake field goal to have Brett Kern run with the football, who got annihilated by Devin White. That's right, the linebacker. Yeah. Devin White got annihilated by Devin White. And only because the referees blew the whistle was it not a picked up fumble run into the end zone for Tampa Bay that would have ended the game for Tampa Bay. And I could not believe that Mike Vrabel would have done that. I mean, I lost my mind with Mike Vrabel's arrogance when it came to the defensive coordinator position in 2020. I've had my issues with Vrabel over the years. I'm mad Mike Vrabel went for 2 against the Bengals in the playoffs.
I was just thinking that. That was dumb.
But I ultimately believe that when it comes to motivating a team, when it comes to setting a culture, when it comes to winning with worse players, all of those things, I think Mike Vrabel does it as well as anybody else in the league. And I think McVay is a great coach. And I think that Shanahan is a great coach. Now, Shanahan, his end of the game stuff, that is concerning. We'll see what Shanahan does with Trey Lance. This is going to be a big thing for his future. I believe Belichick is not the greatest coach in the league right now. I mean, I think Belichick's doing an okay job, but even Robert Kraft's mad at Belichick. So I can't put Belichick at the top. And I know Vrabel lost to the Jets last year. I know he's lost to some of these stinky teams before, like Jacksonville in 2019. I get it. But I feel like in big games, nobody has their team more prepared than Mike Vrabel. And I think some of the game plans are just the way that they outfoxed the Rams last year, the way they shut down Lamar in the playoffs in 2019, league MVP, those, all of it. I mean, the game plans, the only coach who I thought last year just coached Mike Vrabel out of the building was Sean Payton, and that was a game the Titans ended up winning. So that's just my take on it, but it might be a homer take. So how much of a homer take is it? And I'm happy with what I've seen at training camp so far. It's a community question. How much of a homer am I starting to become here? 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your reaction. We'll get to your reaction on the Kyler stuff, everything else as well. Stillman and Company rocking and rolling live from First Horizon Park on 102.5 The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Is your mattress keeping you up all night? Tossing and turning? Needing a new mattress but don't know where to go? Well, shop at Social Furniture today, where they sell comfort. They have all of the top brands like Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress. Social Furniture offers sofa beds, loft beds, twin beds, queen beds, king beds, kids beds, and beds for your whole family. There's no waiting, and they have same-day delivery. Visit Social Furniture in West Nashville at 5412 Charlotte Avenue. Forget the big box store. Shop local. Shop social.
It's a fact. Guys hate going to the doctor. But when it comes to erectile dysfunction and low testosterone issues, men from all over Middle Tennessee have been thrilled seeing Dr. Alderson and their providers at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Men all the way up to 95 years old have jump-started their sex drive and energy levels. Lots of men suffer with ED for years, but now they're able to enjoy sex again. Tom from Nashville said, "The Tennessee Men's Clinic has changed my life. I have been able to be intimate with my wife for the first time in 5 years. She thought this problem was because of her, but the pills never worked for me. I had given up until I went to the clinic and realized there were more options for erectile dysfunction. Now I'm happy and my wife is happy. A visit for only $99, and that includes all testing, including a PSA and testosterone test. Give the guys at the clinic a call at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
What up, world? This is your boy Kevin Hart, a.k.a. the comedic rock star. And guess what? I'm coming to a city near you with my new tour, Reality Check. And we are adding shows, doing it big. Brand new hour material, big laughs, big energy. Make sure you're in the building. Don't miss your chance to get your tickets.
Don't miss Kevin Hart, Reality Check Tour, this Wednesday at Bridgestone Arena. Get tickets now.
Go to KevinHartNation.com now.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Throughout the country, buried pipelines are indicated by a pipeline right-of-way. A long, wide stretch of grass cleared of trees and marked with signs. If you have a right-of-way near your home, do not plant anything in it or dig in it. Do not install a fence or build your kids a super cool fort without first getting the pipeline operator's approval. For more on pipeline safety, visit pipesafety.org. A message from the Tennessee Gas Association, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
You talked about being great around Ryan, and you clarified kind of what you meant about that at the Combine. But with AJ gone and the personnel shifts that you have, do you feel like the personnel around Ryan is better?
Well, I don't want to rely on
talent. I don't want to be a coach that relies on talent. I want to be, I want to coach fundamentals, technique. I want to teach. I want to make sure that they play with great effort, and I know that we're talented. So my job is to not try to rely on talent. I want to try to coach. You know, there's a certain way that we want to play the game, and when we do, you know, we're a good football team. And when we turn it over, and we don't protect the guy with the football, whether that's a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, you know, we're not very good. You know, we can't operate like that.
There you go. That's Mike Vrabel, and I loved hearing that. And I felt like when Vrabel said that, there were a lot of eyes around the room that were like, Vrabel doesn't want to have good talent. And I'm like, that's not what I felt like Mike Vrabel meant. And maybe I'm wrong about this, and I've been wrong before. What I think Vrabel meant is something that a lot of coaches, it's easy to say, but it's hard to actually believe. And I do think Vrabel believes this. A lot of coaches will look at their roster and say, well, my team's not good enough. I mean, what do you expect me to? My team's not good enough. How am I supposed to win with these guys? And I don't think Vrabel does that. I think Vrabel looks at, these are the players that I have. And so now I and the coaching staff have to go out there and coach them to be the best that they can be. And that's how this team is going to win.
Well, I think playing with 90 different players last year is a testament to that.
I mean, I still believe that element of, I'm not going to say that element of it. I thought that element of the success in the season was a little overrated.
Why?
Because outside of Jacksonville, when they got really hurt last year, they didn't win. They didn't go to New England and beat the Patriots. They didn't go to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. Those were all, they lost at home to the Texans. Those were all teams they should have beaten. And I think if they had their regular squad, not the 90 guys, they probably would have won those games. Now, they lost the Steeler game because McMath fumbles a football. They lose to the Texans because Marcus Johnson and A.J. Brown get hurt. Des Fitzpatrick's running the wrong routes. They lose to the Patriots because they had Jared Stillman lined up at wide receiver. So when it was, look, they got nobody out there, they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars the week after it came out that Urban Meyer kicked a player. I mean, that was Vanderbilt could have beaten Jacksonville that week. That team was so down. So I thought that element of it was a little overrated. The Titans locked up the division before Derrick Henry got hurt. They locked up the division on Halloween. Not that it was official, but it was, I mean, they were down the home stretch. And so, yeah, the Rams game, that was a big impression. That was a Vrabel special. Mm-hmm. The way they pulled off the Rams one. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have?
Matt texts in to the text line and says, I do think Vrabel is the best coach in the league, and you can't always determine who's the best coach because of wins and losses. He's doing a heck of a job with having a quarterback who throws 3 interceptions in the playoffs.
So I'm asking the question, who is the best coach right now? It's easy to, who's the best coach resume-wise? Belichick. You know, Vrabel doesn't have the same resume as Belichick, Andy Reid, or Mike Tomlin. There's just no way. He hasn't coached long enough to be able to have that kind of resume. Certainly, to have multiple Super Bowls, great quarterbacks have to be put in there somewhere. Vrabel has had Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, and Blaine Gabbert. And again, not to say that the coach, you take a job like that and the coach can get fired off of not having that kind of quarterback. I'm worried about that fate with Arthur Smith in Atlanta. But I view it as, what coach would you rather have coach your team than Mike Vrabel? And I'm not saying your team with a great quarterback, but I'm talking about a generic run-of-the-mill team, average team in the league. Would you rather have Andy Reid coaching an average team or Mike Vrabel coaching an average team at this point?
Probably Vrabel.
I mean, this is going to be a big year for Andy Reid because Tyreek Hill's not there anymore. And I mean, Andy Reid's a good coach, but Andy has had a lot of opportunities in this league, and he's lost a lot. You know, Andy's had a lot of big moments, and his team has not come up in those big moments. Outside of the Bengals game this year, Vrabel has never walked into a playoff game where he was decidedly the favorite. And so he's pulled off those upsets. But Andy Reid had lost home NFC championship games. Andy Reid lost to the Buccaneers, who had never played in cold weather and won a playoff game in their history, and beat them in Philadelphia in the NFC championship game in 2002. Ultimately, Andy got fired in Philadelphia because he couldn't get over the hump. Lost to Vrabel as a player with the Patriots when he was coaching the Eagles in a game in which down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, a game in which Terrell Owens was the most valuable player, or should have been the most valuable player. No disrespect to Deion Branch, who won the award. T.O. was the best player on the field, and Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb are walking up to the line of scrimmage with 5 minutes to go, down 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. And the Patriots are looking at the clock going, what the hell are they doing? 5 minutes to go in the Super Bowl. You're down 2 touchdowns. You'll walk to the line of scrimmage, you'll huddle up. And that's what they did. And Andy lost the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay. And Andy lost the home AFC championship game to the Patriots. I mean, to be honest with you, the best thing that ever happened to Andy Reid was that Vrabel took out the Patriots and the Ravens en route to his only Super Bowl. So, and I have all the respect in the world for Andy, but I would rather have Mike Vrabel coach my team than Andy Reid. The one guy, now I will put McVay over Shanahan, but the one guy that you could convince me of is Shanahan. Shanahan's the one guy you could convince me of that you could tell me and sit down with me and make a case for Shanahan, and I could see myself say, okay, I can do that.
And McVay?
No.
You just said you'd put McVay over Shanahan.
I would, only because of the Super Bowl and the fact that Shanahan's blown those moments in his career.
Uh-huh.
But I'd rather have Shanahan.
And they've won with Jimmy G and Goff. So both of them
Yeah.
have some track record of, pulling it out with not elite
Making
QBs.
chicken salad.
To me, with Shanahan, the Matt Ryan thing with Shanahan is where I value the coach. Because and they run the ball with anybody. They ran the ball with anybody in Atlanta. They run the ball with anybody in San Francisco. It does not matter. They run the ball effectively. I mean, I think Shanahan is a great coach. And I don't think Shanahan gets his due. I think people crap on Shanahan because people are afraid to crap
on Shanahan?
I think so. There was talk
over crapping on Jimmy G.
Oh my God, nobody craps on Jimmy. Jimmy sucks. If Jimmy was good, he'd be on a team now. He's not. He's not even really on his own team. What's next?
Another texter checks in and says it's definitely a homer take. McVay, McDermott, and Shanahan are easily the best coaches. McVay, especially with the job he did with Goff and taking them to a Super Bowl one year.
So why am I supposed to love McDermott? Why? And I mean this total seriousness. Why is Sean McDermott a better coach than Mike Vrabel?
I think a lot of people look at it on the surface and say, well, the Buffalo Bills historically have been better, or not historically, in recent history, the past couple of years have been better than the Titans.
Okay.
And I understand the Titans have beaten the Bills.
Now, here's what's crazy. McDermott and Vrabel have played 4 times, and they're 2-2 against each other. And that includes a bad Buffalo team that beat the Titans in Buffalo in 2018. But in the last 2 meetings, Buffalo's had a Super Bowl contending team and lost to the Titans, including getting smoked here on a Tuesday night when the Titans were allowed to practice 1 time before the game. My bigger thing with McDermott is this. I believe the credit for the success of the Buffalo Bills belongs to Brandon Beane, the general manager. I think that they found the right quarterback. They went out, they scouted, they strategically moved up in order to they made the playoffs in 2017 and then went backwards with Josh Allen in 2018. They brought Allen along slowly. I believe that the move for Stephon Diggs was an absolute game changer for Allen. I think the personnel decisions around Sean McDermott have been what has catapulted Buffalo forward. You know how many road playoff games Buffalo has won under Sean McDermott?
Over under 1?
0.
Okay, under.
They lost to Jacksonville in 17. They lost at Houston in 19. They lost on the road at Kansas City in 20, and they lost at Kansas City in 21. So they can win at home.
Can't win on the road.
They can't win on the road in the playoffs. So I struggle with McDermott ahead of Vrabel. And I'm not knocking John Robinson here, but I think Vrabel has more to do with the Titans' success than McDermott has to do with Buffalo's success. Then again, and this could be where the homer thing comes up, is I don't see McDermott every week, so I can't watch a game plan and say, that was good game planning by McDermott because I don't know what they do every single week. I think McDermott's an okay coach. But I don't think he's a great coach.
With a great team.
I mean, the whole process in which Buffalo went to go get Josh Allen was so surgical. It was, chef's kiss. It was a thing of beauty. Who are the other coaches that Texter mentioned in there?
Shanahan, McDermott, McVay.
Boy, I tell you, I love Shanahan. I'll say this. If I owned a team, I would be wanting Sean Payton.
Oh, bad.
I mean, if I'm the Chargers, I'd fire that coach. Second Sean Payton says
if I'm the Chargers, if I'm Miami.
Well, Miami, I mean, we don't know if this McDaniel's good or not.
I don't know if he's good or not. But if you were going to try and get anything out of Tua Tagovailoa, Sean Payton's going to be the one to
Sean Payton's not going to coach it.
But I'm saying, if you want to see if you have anything in Tua, Sean Payton is going to be the one to get it out of him.
But Sean Payton's not going to do it. So if Miami picks up the phone and says, hey, we want you to coach Tua, he's going to say no. If we say, hey, we want you to be the coach of the Dolphins and we'll go get a new quarterback, and if he likes that quarterback, he'll say yes. That's the difference. That's why, the Chargers of Dallas, he'll coach that quarterback.
Well, yes, but I'm saying if I'm Miami, I want him, regardless of if he wants to coach there or not.
Well, but he's not going to pick up the phone if Tua is part of, in my opinion. He's not going to pick up the phone. Robbie Stanley in all caps says Matt LaFleur. I joke. Let me say this about Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, coach kicking a field goal in the home NFC championship game. Coach can't get the special teams right. And the coach who, when he was here, couldn't figure out for 12 games to give Derrick Henry the ball. Pass. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. I can't wait till he has to coach without Aaron Rodgers. 615-737-1025. Ryan Tannehill, the number one storyline going into training camp. How he performed today, we'll get to that next. Right here, Stillman and Company on 102.5 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Sliding across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Well, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
To know what makes Genesis Diamonds so special, you have to understand its origin. Back when owner Boaz Ramon used to sell diamonds only to jewelry stores.
I was selling to more than 700 jewelry stores. I didn't like what I saw.
What he saw in retail stores was grossly inflated prices, limited selection, pricing games, and a sales process that put the customer at a disadvantage. And it motivated this wholesaler to start his own retail revolution.
My passion was to build a place where the customer is going to be very informed. We're not going to hide any information from him. We're not going to have to get diamonds from other people. We're not going to mark up our prices to mark them down.
So Genesis was born. No middleman markups, no commission salespeople, industry-leading warranties, 30 times the selection, a no-holds-barred diamond education that empowers the customer, and a refreshing, relaxed, no-pressure atmosphere.
We created a place where the consumer is the king.
Come and get the royal treatment today. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Tennessee's tax-free holiday is here. Head to Electronic Express this weekend for great deals on back-to-school essentials like laptops, tablets, printers, and more, all tax-free. This weekend only, get an Acer laptop for $229 or an Apple iPad for $449. Don't miss out on a Microsoft Surface Pro bundle for $899 or an HP laptop for $499. Shop in-store or online with free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
If you suffer from joint pain, from arthritis, or an injury, you know the traditional treatments, pain meds, steroids, and then surgery, right? Willie Donick here with great news. Now there's a better way, and it's here now from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. This is an advanced, exciting, and natural alternative that can give you lasting relief using your body's own healing power. Listen, steroid shots are toxic to your joints. Pain meds can be addictive, and nobody wants to go under the knife. It's 2022, and those old ways are out. The new way is in. Regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue using natural biologics. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. QC Kinetics and their protocols can address any pain in any joint and give you the quality of life you deserve. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman & Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
So Jared, the way you described that is fine. There is carryover from practice to games. There's some value. But the problem is that you're starting with a false premise. Yes, Tannehill threw a few picks in camp. You've now revised the history. And he was bad. Like it was a big story last year. I want you to go back. I want you to spend some time today, and I want you to go back and find all the instances of coverage, whatever it was, you, us, anything written about the bad.
Why do I have to do that?
Because you are the one with a stupid opinion. So you have to back it up.
There you go. That was yesterday on Robbie and Rex Road, which, by the way, we did pull out 3.5 minutes of discussion, not on the radio, but of the coaches and of Tannehill having to discuss the interceptions in training camp from last year. Joe sent a group text this morning to Caroline, Ian, and me, in which Joe responded and said, I can't believe you asked Ian to go back and find, quote unquote, evidence of things we said many times were discussed. Things we said many times were discussed. Psychotic, you owe him an expensive dinner. To which I said, now you tell me if I'm wrong on this. Quote, find any evidence. Here's an article. Doesn't count. Here's 3 minutes of talking about the quarterback play, including the offensive coordinator saying it's unacceptable. Doesn't count.
He didn't say it didn't count. He just said you owe Ian an expensive dinner.
Oh, no, he definitely said it didn't count. Or at least the tone of this is that it didn't count.
I'm not going to take tone.
You've heard him.
I know.
And he's not backing down off of the fact that he thinks that that Tannehill this year is not a big story in training camp.
But he didn't say that the 3 minutes don't count.
Isn't that the implication?
He didn't say that.
I mean, he definitely didn't come up and say that he was proven wrong.
No, he didn't.
So the article, find me any evidence.
He
Here you
did
go.
say
Here's
that the
evidence.
article doesn't count.
Here's my evidence. Doesn't count. So then you're thinking that Joe is actually saying that I did provide the evidence for
No, I think Joe is saying that he didn't say that he never said that, or he said that he never said that the interceptions weren't at least a talking point.
I mean, I don't know. All I know is I flipped it on this morning and I heard them going over big storylines in camp, and they were talking about the most random things that had nothing to do with Tannehill. And I'm like, there's no way that's a bigger story than Tannehill. I forget some of the things that they were talking about. I mean, it was like, the Titans signed Shakur Brown today to the roster. That's a bigger deal than Tannehill. And so I'll just put it to you like this. Last year in training camp, through the first 5 days of training camp, Ryan Tannehill had 5 interceptions. And everybody was asking, why is he throwing the interceptions? What matters about the interception? Through 2 real competitive practices, yesterday was not competitive. Through 2 competitive practices, Tannehill is 17 of 19 with no interceptions. And I don't know how this can't be a big deal. Here's who he went to today. Sorry about that, everybody. Today, Ryan Tannehill went to an 11 on 11. Tannehill complete to Cody Hollister. Tannehill complete to Traylon Burks for a gain of 12 on 3rd down. Gave him a +1. Did I give Burks for that catch? 7-on-7, Tannehill to Robert Woods. 7-on-7, Tannehill rolls in the pocket, complete to Treylon Burks for 20 yards. Tannehill complete to Robert Woods over the middle. Tannehill complete to Treylon Burks short on third down, might have been short of the marker. Tannehill, 7-on-7, complete to Swain. Tannehill, his first incomplete pass of the training camp was intended for Des Fitzpatrick on a breakup by Christian Fulton. Tannehill complete to Derrick Henry on a second down check down. Tannehill was incomplete, trying to get the ball to 86, which is Josh Malone, Caleb Farley. Got a +1 for a pass breakup. Tannehill, 11-on-11, play action, complete to 85, Chigakonkwo. Tannehill, play action, roll out, complete to Hollister. Tannehill, complete short to Robert Woods. It was a contested catch, so Robert Woods got a +1.
Love that.
Tannehill, complete in a tight window to Okonkwo. Both Tannehill on third down. Both Tannehill and Okonkwo got a +1. 11-on-11. Tannehill scrambles off of good coverage on defense. I don't know how much I care about that. Tannehill, complete to Austin Hooper. Now it was behind him a little bit, but Hooper adjusted and made a good catch on a third down. Hooper got a +1. And then Tannehill's last play, he was sacked on an all-out blitz. And I don't know what happened. If Radens Radens went with his guy, Davis went with his guy, and one of the guys just wasn't accounted for and blitzed Tannehill. So I don't know whose fault that was, but I'm not going to blame Tannehill. Tannehill's thrown 2 incompletions in essentially 2 days, no interceptions. It is the exact opposite of what happened last year at training camp. I don't know how that's not a big deal. That is a big deal. If you care at all about practice, that is a big deal, in my opinion.
And I would agree with you that the quarterback whose story in this offseason has been basically, can he protect the football?
Yes.
His problem in 2021 was throwing interceptions. The reason why the Titan season ended was because Ryan Tannehill threw interceptions. It's not the only story. There are several other storylines that I'm looking at, and you can make the argument, well, those storylines like Treylon Burks and the tight ends and Robert Woods and Derrick Henry's injury, yes, those all go back to Tannehill. Yes, that's true, because that's just how football works. Those are other things that I'm looking at as well. So Tannehill isn't the only story, but it is a big story. And I don't want to undermine the discussion that we've had the past 6 months, but Ryan Tannehill's ability to take care of the football and then say none of that mattered because in training camp, when he's taking care of the football, that's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, we're still going to be watching the Giants game week 1 and wanting Ryan Tannehill to not turn the football over. We're not going to say, Ryan Tannehill played great in the preseason, in the training camp.
Ryan Tannehill completing 17 of 19 passes in the past, let's just say 2. So in the last 2 or 3 days, yes, that's a big deal. If he starts throwing interceptions next week, that also to me is a big deal.
Well, think about it like this. Apparently, Daniel Jones has stunk up the joint at Giants camp.
Which doesn't surprise me.
And there's already talk about whether or not Tyrod Taylor is going to start running with the ones.
Woof.
So that's a big deal. And for all the wide receiver discussion about, well, I think Treylon Burks is a big story. Treylon Burks is a big story because Ryan Tannehill has to have offensive players, in my opinion. And I use it for this. Tua Tagovailoa is the reason why Tyreek Hill's a big deal right now in Miami, because they went out and it looks like Miami said, we're going to give you one last crack at it. But if we're going to give you one last crack at it, we're going to give you Tyreek Hill. So this is we're not going to make a pity. If Tyreek Hill struggles in training camp and the Dolphins are stinking it up, the story's not going to be Tyreek stinking it up.
It's Tua.
It's going to be Tua's fault. It's going to be about Tua, and this could be the end of Tua's career. If the team has an established quarterback that everybody believes in, then whatever happens for that quarterback in training camp, unless it goes completely off the rails, is to me a non-story. Joe Burrow can have a horrible training camp, but when the Cincinnati Bengals get out there, the expectation will be that Joe Burrow can still carry that team to the top. Here, Tannehill, because it ended so poorly last year, and because last year as a whole was so bad, including last year's training camp, and the fact that Tannehill is getting what many, including me, believe is his last chance, I believe that this is it. Like, this is the story of the team. Can Tannehill, it looks like he's got better weapons around him, which is a big deal. I said today, my big takeaway, Woods flashed, Burks flashed, Okonkwo flashed, Hooper flashed. They all got a +1 today. If that's the case, and he still can't win, then the Titans' entire foundation is going in a different direction.
And to Joe's point, saying that, there are certain training camp is the storyline is about players that you don't normally see in the regular season or players that you haven't seen yet. To Joe's point, I think that there are stories in training camp that are only stories in training camp that aren't necessarily stories in the regular season.
Sure.
Look at Marcus Johnson this past year.
No, Marcus Johnson was a story in the regular season because he kept getting hurt, but he had 100 yards and they won that. I mean, he played last year.
But we talked so much about Marcus Johnson in training camp.
When I think of a training camp story that is a non-story, there's the running back by the name of DeJuan Hicks. Mekhi Sargent last year was an example.
Okay, so a
fourth stringer
story,
can the fourth stringer be the 53rd
that is not
guy?
a story in the
Who
regular
cares?
season. But if it's a story in the regular season, I think it has to be a story in training camp.
Tannehill's the story. Tannehill is the story. Is Vrabel on the hot seat?
Also, to be fair, I don't think that Derrick Henry is a huge story in training camp.
Well, that's 'cause he
Derrick
never
Henry
practices.
absolutely balling out in training camp. Okay, we expect that.
But Derrick Henry never
Derrick
practices.
Henry not practicing is not a story.
See,
to me because
here's where
Derrick Henry doesn't-
I completely disagree. I think Derrick Henry getting 5 carries and 11 on 11 today and making 1 catch and cutting back on that foot, I think that's a story. It is an unexpected story to me because I don't expect Derrick Henry to ever practice in training camp because they never do let Derrick Henry practice in training camp. So if Derrick Henry's going to practice, like if they're practicing against the Buccaneers in 3 weeks, and that Tampa Bay defensive line, Vita Vea, is up there against Aaron Brewer and Derrick Henry's running the football, that's a story. But the assumption that I have is that Derrick Henry is ultimately going to be in the sand pit by himself and not running in those drills. Monday, they put the pads on. I do wonder if they're going to put Derrick Henry out there. 615-737-1025. How big of a deal is Ryan Tannehill 17 for 19, no interceptions through 2 days of camp, and is hitting the main guys, Burks, Woods, Hooper, and even Okonkwo? We'll get to your phones on it next. Stillman and Company on 1025 The Game.
And here we go! Every Tuesday at 11. The Music City Grand Prix is green! Chase, Willie, and D-Mace will get you set for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix by talking to some of IndyCar's best drivers.
Pleased to be joined by Scott Dixon.
I can't wait, man, and thanks for having me on, and looking forward to getting back to Nashville.
Weekly driver interviews are presented by Social Furniture, where we sell comfort. Shop local, shop social at 5412 Charlotte Avenue, and by the Nashville Sheriff on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Scattered showers and thunderstorms possible this afternoon, but it will be cooler this weekend. Highs fall to the 80s. It's hot and humid again next week.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
School is back, and doorbusters are in session at JCPenney. Shop tax-free all weekend. Extended store hours Friday and Saturday. Stock up in-store or buy online now. Pick up curbside later. Shopping is back.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now, 615-576-5000.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
For the first time, saddle up in Smashville. 6:30 tomorrow at Nissan Stadium for WWE SummerSlam. See undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns face Brock Lesnar in a last man standing match. Liv Morgan defends the SmackDown Women's Championship against Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Pat McAfee vows to shut down Happy Corbin and more. Free seats are still available and tickets start at $25 at Ticketmaster.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Chase McCabe.
My play didn't work for him, and the way he coached didn't work for me.
Willie Donick.
It's survival of the fittest.
And Derek Mason.
A win-win-win across the board.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Austin, Robert, Traylon, do you think that the offensive skill positions around Ryan are currently better than they were where you ended last season?
I think I answered that earlier with the Madden rating questions, but it's different. It's about if they play in unison, and it's so much about timing, and there's concepts offensively that you're trying to create and get guys open. It's just, guys get open differently. But I'm excited about the position groups and the guys that we have and the work that they've put in to be ready for camp.
There you go. John Robinson earlier this week. Robert Woods got a +1 today. Traylon Burks got 2 pluses today. Austin Hooper got a +1 on a third down catch. Chigakonkwo got a +1, and even Derrick Henry in the passing game got a +1. That is exciting to me because, again, last year I had to go out to Tampa Bay and watch Anthony Ferkser, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and Chester Rogers go up against the defending Super Bowl champions. I promised phones, so let's get right to them. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Josh texts in and asks, what do you expect Chig's role to be? We've heard great things about him, and he was the fastest tight end in the combine.
So I have no assumption as to what a guy's role is going to be when they're a backup, because except for quarterback, backups come in, backups go out. This package that we want to run here, we're going to want to run the ball. So let's put Jeff Swain out instead of putting Chigakonkwo out. I did give Chig a minus today on his blocking. And what I hope Chigakonkwo was not is a one-dimension tight end. That is, when he's on the field, hey, defense, we're throwing. I don't want that. But I do think Okonkwo is going to get on the field. I think Okonkwo is going to get on the field with Tannehill this season. I mean, look, I can't tell you who's playing on the first team or the second team or the third team. I can tell you this. Okonkwo got a plus for a catch that he had on a ball thrown by Logan Woodside. He's gotten a plus this week for a catch he had on a ball thrown by Tannehill. I think that's where he sits right now, is that I think Chig is certainly not the starting tight end. That's Hooper. And Swaim, I would assume in short yardage and blocking situations, play action, they would probably trust a little bit more. But I do expect to see Okonkwo on the field. Right now, I would assume, this is me, not them, I would assume that Okonkwo would be in the Anthony Ferkser role if Hooper is in the Jonnu Smith role. Trying to see, let's see. I feel pretty good about Okonkwo getting some real time with the real players, though. What's next?
Michael from Missouri texts in and says, I agree with y'all, and here's why. Tannehill and the A.J. Brown saga were the biggest stories of the offseason, I think. A.J.'s gone, so that eliminates that, but nothing about the simple starting of training camp makes Tannehill less of a question mark. I bet most places where there's a question about the quarterback, it's a big deal in camp.
Think about it like this. If Ryan Tannehill had an awful start to the training camp, how big of a deal would that be?
A big deal.
There you go. I mean, this is why
I think anything about Tannehill is going to be a big deal in camp because he has been the deal in the offseason.
He's the story of the team. If Ryan Tannehill, think about the offense and really committed outside of Traylon Burks, there is not a player on the offense the Tennessee Titans are truly committed to beyond this season. Robert Woods, no dead cap money if they cut him after this year. Austin Hooper signed a 1-year deal. Ben Jones signed a 2-year deal with an easy out after the first year. Nate Davis is a free agent. Taylor Lewan, very little or no dead cap money. Derrick Henry, very little dead cap money. Ryan Tannehill, very little dead cap money. Outside of Treylon Burks, every other player on the offense is playing for their job this season. And if Ryan Tannehill and this offense fails, the Titans probably move in a younger direction, whether that's Willis or whether that's another starter in the draft in the first round. I don't know. But if the Titans do that, then they're probably entering a rebuild of some magnitude or another. That's why this is a big story. Because if Ryan Tannehill goes out and performs like he did in 2020 and is the decisive Tannehill, the efficient Tannehill, we're not asking Ryan Tannehill to go be Josh Allen, but we're asking Ryan Tannehill to be the passer that he was in 2019 that led to all those Joe Montana statistical comparisons. If he does that, he's the quarterback next year. The core returns and the Titans make a run at it either this year or next year. But again, you're talking about the foundation of your team and the direction of where that team is going to go.
Are looking or excited about how well the wide receivers look?
The only corner I'm concerned about is Fulton. Farley's fine. I haven't noticed Molden or Jackson or those guys. That's fine. Haven't noticed Byard or Hooker. That's fine. The only concern at corner is Fulton, and that's on a very limited sample size.
We have a sassy little text coming in.
I'm sure we do.
So Jared is saying if Tannehill is 17 of 19, he should be MVP of the league this year because training camp matters like it did last year, throwing all the picks.
I mean, I think the question has to be this. How much, and I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about you, the individual. How much do you all care about training camp? Now, I know this. Last year, when I went to Buccaneers practice, I had the option last year of going to SEC Media Days or to Tampa Bay. And I mean, I don't even really know if that was a choice that was asked to me. I can't even remember. I remember Ryan asked about SEC Media Days, and I said I'd rather go to Tampa for the Buccaneers practices because people couldn't watch the Buccaneers practices. And so I went to Tampa, and I was there all day at the field at Tampa. And then I'd go back and I'd do the radio show, and I would literally be on the air, and I would be essentially giving a play-by-play of what happened that day at Titans training camp against the Buccaneers. And I know all the people wanted to know about the DBs against Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and the Titans against that Super Bowl defense, the defending champions. So it seemed like people cared about training camp then. And I see the data that says that once training camp starts, it's boom, people are all in. So it obviously matters to some people. I know this too. If I were a kid, and I remember there was some radio that was out at training camp, and I don't remember how they built topics back then or what they did or whatever. But if I could have had like a daily update of what happened at training camp, I would have been glued to it. And I don't think there's really anywhere else, correct me if I'm wrong, where the training camp coverage is this in depth. I mean, I think Robbie and Joe probably have a little bit of that because Joe's there every day. But Joe's there every day trying to find, the story that he's going to write for The Athletic. And so, I got to talk to Kyle Phillips about this story that I'm writing. I'm sitting there at training camp watching the offensive linemen saying, all right, did Dylan get a plus on that? Or they, does his technique need a little bit of work, plus, minus? Because I'm trying to figure out if Dylan Radins can play right tackle for Tennessee Titans this year. So that's if you don't care about training camp. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do not care about training camp. If you do not care about training camp, that's fine. That's fine to not care about training camp. I'm totally okay with that. But I care. And I got to believe because it's the only thing that we have to go off of. In the other sports, nobody cares about what happens in practice because in hockey, they play games right away.
Yeah.
But if, for instance, the Predators get out there in training camp in these preseason games, and UC Saros is letting in 6 goals in the one period he's playing, that's a big deal.
And I
it's
think
the only thing we have to go off of.
And I think fans have been so starved for just something about football.
It's the most popular sport in America.
And this is just a little taste of what's to come.
615-737-1025. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360. We'll throw our Titans observations and ask him how important they really are because it's training camp. We'll do that next live from First Horizon Park. Stillman and Company on a Fireball Hot Take Friday on 1025 The Game.
You watch the game.
And he's going. Nobody's going to catch him. Derrick Henry, touchdown.
We talk the game.
I don't think it was a bad play, but he took out their goalie.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
In St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, every day is a beach day. And with 35 miles of pristine, sugary white sand, it's easy to see why. So let's grab the beach bag, the beach ball, and the boogie board. Let's pack the suits, the sunscreen, and the sunglasses. Take a dip in the emerald green waters of the Gulf. And then take in a breathtaking sunset at the end of the day. So let's make a beeline to the beach. And let's shine. Plan your next getaway at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
When I retire, I plan on being busy. Bird watching, cooking, traveling. I might even write a book. But I never thought I'd have to plan on being an expert on all things Medicare. Fortunately, with 75 years of experience helping Tennesseans, the experts at Farm Bureau Health Plans helped answer all my Medicare questions. So no matter what I plan on doing next, I understand all my options. Talk to your local representative or visit fbhp.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willie Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home. And the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 1025 and 1063.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stone & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. First Horizon Park, Sounds, and Charlotte Knights, 7:05 first pitch. Tim Dillard will have the number 17 retired here at First Horizon Park tonight. And so the Titans, day 3 of practice, which was really day 2. Yesterday was a light day. Day 3 of practice, Ryan Tannehill, 17 of 19 through 2 days. No interceptions. Unlike the first 5 days last year where he threw 5 interceptions. And again, big plays by Robert Woods. Nick Westbrook-Akina had a big play the first day. Traylon Burks keeps making big plays. Derrick Henry got in there. Again, 5 carries for Derrick Henry, 1 catch for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry never practices, but he looked good on that foot. Chad Withrow joins us now. Outkick 360. Chad, I'm trying not to sound like a homer here, presented, by the way, by Apple Collision Centers online at applecollisioncenters.com. I'm trying not to sound like a homer here. But considering the pressure on Ryan Tannehill and all the changes with Hooper and drafting a tight end in Chikakonkwo and Burks for A.J. Brown and Robert Woods, I know it's 3 days of practice, but it looks good. How big of a deal is that to you?
I think Robert Woods looking as good as he has from all reports, and I haven't been out there yet, but from all reports is probably the most encouraging thing about that. I mean, I don't understand what pressure you're talking about on Ryan Tannehill at practice right now. Look, Ryan Tannehill's pressure is going to come if they make the playoffs. He's been a good regular season player. He's been terrible in the playoffs, and it's something to make the playoffs. So there's going to be pressure on the regular season to get back to the playoffs. I mean, just ask the Jets. It's hard to get to the playoffs. They haven't been since 2010, and the Titans have been there a lot. But I don't see any pressure on him in practice. He's got no one breathing down his neck. It's practice. It's training camp. Look, the pressure is going to start on Ryan Tannehill when the Titans get back to the playoffs, which they should, where he's going to need to elevate instead of bringing his team down, which we've seen all too often.
See, I think the pressure will probably be on him in the regular season, but to your point, it's the pressure to make the playoffs. And then, like, if the Titans are at a point where they may not make the playoffs, the pressure will be on there. I'm with you. The pressure won't go away. He could go out and throw for 55 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and the pressure would be on in the playoffs for Tannehill.
Yeah, and I think, if this was, let's reverse it. If this was the Marcus Mariota camp where Tannehill comes in, if it was the flip side of that, and this offseason there was a Mariota-type quarterback that could possibly challenge Ryan Tannehill that's there, I don't think Malik Willis is that guy. But if they had someone who'd started games, the NFL, that was breathing down his neck, that was there in case things went south, then I would probably buy into what you're saying about legitimate pressure on him in training camp. But I just don't see any reason for Tannehill to feel any pressure at practice going into the season. The pressure is going to come when he plays a playoff game, if they play a playoff game this year.
Chad Withrow's with us. How big of a deal was it to you to hear, after all of the discussion about Traylon Burks, what they traded in order to get Traylon Burks? What did it mean to you to hear how well he played the first day? And I thought he played pretty well today, too.
Well, it was good that, let's go back to him being out of shape, which I know that we talked about on this show, Jared. It's good that he recognized eventually, after a lot of excuse-making about asthma and allergies and everything else, that he was in fact out of shape, and he came back, he recognized it. For the most part, I think the team hasn't fully recognized it yet, but they knew what was going on, even if there was a lot of misdirection coming from the team on it. I like the fact that he showed up. Let me rephrase that. I don't like that he showed up out of shape originally, but I like that he recognized that and he solved the problem, and he came back ready to go, ready to practice, and he's looked really good. I think that is an encouraging sign. It's never a good sign when you're a first-round pick, especially someone that you drafted to take the place of a really good, a special player in A.J. Brown, shows up fat and out of shape. That's not a good thing. But he got himself in shape. He's completed drills. He's looked better so far. I loved him at Arkansas. I loved the pick when the Titans made it. If we continue to see more of this Traylon Burks that we saw at Arkansas and we've seen so far at training camp, I think great things are ahead for the Titans passing game with Traylon Burks. And again, while it's not a good sign that he originally showed up out of shape, it's a great sign that he was man enough to own up to it, and correct the problem and get himself ready to go for camp. So I think all in all, that's an encouraging sign for Titans fans.
I've been there for 3 days, Chad, and I absolutely love Robert Woods. I love his resume. I love his attitude. I love the ability that he has, and I love the role that is carved out for him. Last year, I thought Julio Jones was brought in, And I thought the expectations for Julio Jones were too high. I didn't like his age. I didn't like his hamstring injuries. I didn't like any of that. I didn't like his salary. I didn't like any of that with Julio Jones. I don't think there's enough hype on Robert Woods. Obviously, he was a big part of the Rams. Just read what Cooper Kupp wrote when he left. How big of a deal is it for you that Robert Woods is healthy, and what is your expectation of his impact this year?
It's huge. It's huge that he's looked as healthy as he has so far, and his impact needs to be enormous for this Titans team. I think it's the most underrated thing to happen in the AFC South this offseason is Robert Woods to the Titans and what that could mean. They need him to be a big-time contributor and help out Ryan Tannehill in this offense. I see no signs that that's not going to happen right now, so it's kind of knock-on-wood season also with what you've seen. But Robert Woods, he's got to be big for the Titans. He's shown signs that he can be big. I loved him when he was with the Rams. Even though you would never say he's a superstar in the league or anything like that, I loved what he could contribute to the Rams, even at sometimes in the run game with what he brought to the table. So, yeah, I think it's good things so far for Robert Woods. Look, just like what I said with Ryan Tannehill, for him, the proving ground is going to be playoffs. For Robert Woods and Treylon Burks and how they play with Ryan Tannehill, the proving ground is going to start in the regular season. But I think it's a good sign right now just to start out with both those guys looking good in camp.
What did you think of Julio Jones signing with Tampa Bay? Ian Rappaport reported 1 year, $6 million with incentives to get up to $8 million. I was talking at camp, Chad, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I want to know if that $6 million is guaranteed, or if Julio has to make the team, and if Julio makes the team, then he'll get $6 million. Tampa Bay already has 3 or 4 receivers that I think are better than this state of Julio Jones. What did you make of that move? Did we lose chat?
Hey, guys.
Oh, we got you?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I answered, and then it was silence for a while. But now I can hear you.
Okay. What is your thought on the Julio Jones to Tampa Bay?
My thought on Julio Jones to Tampa Bay is that he's probably going to go there and contribute because Tom Brady's a good enough quarterback that if he can play at all and he can be healthy, which is a big if, he's going to contribute to that Tampa offense, and it's going to do nothing but piss off Titans fans when that happens. That is what I fully expect to happen in Tampa Bay.
My biggest problem with Julio, though, is the talent that made Julio so great, his ability to run and jump and explode. Is that not gone at age 33 with the hamstring injuries that he's had?
I think it's probably gone, but I think that Julio Jones, in that offense with Tom Brady, I do think that there's more possibilities for them to find something he can do, even in a limited capacity. I think of Rob Gronkowski and what he brought to the offense. Even Rob Gronkowski wasn't nearly what he was earlier in his career. Can Julio Jones, not at 100%, not young Julio Jones, fill, he's not going to be a tight end, but fill kind of a role like that. That's what I look for with Julio Jones in that Tampa Bay offense. But, we talk often about who are the quarterbacks that automatically make their surrounding cast better. Certainly Brady is one of those guys, and I think that's going to be the case with Julio.
I do wonder how much Brady losing his center, Ryan Jensen, the Pro Bowler that got carted off with a knee injury yesterday, how much that affects the Buccaneers. I care about the Titans. I care about the Titans' offensive line, but I'm not sure I care about Brady's because I just feel like, Chad, you can put 4 bums out there with 1 good player and Brady will be fine. How big of a story is that to you out of Tampa Bay?
I think it's a pretty big story. I love that the Titans and Tampa Bay are going to have the joint practices to see some of this unfold. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a bigger story than we're making it out to be right now. The last time I can remember Tom Brady really having a shaky offensive line was that last season in New England. Titans beat him in the playoffs that year. But I remember a big chunk of that year, I was actually fooled into believing Tom Brady was on his last leg at that point because he was so quick to throw the ball away. And for the first time, we saw some real uncertainty in the pocket. And a lot of times it was because of his receivers, and he didn't have any at that point. I think Edelman was injured that year. But his offensive line wasn't great either in that situation. And I think that led to some apprehension and some anxiety with his play that we hadn't seen from Brady before. So could we see that again without Ryan Jensen? Could we see that again if that offensive line plays a little bit more shaky? I think we could.
Chad Withrow, Outkick 360 with us, presented by Apple Collision Centers. Online at applecollisioncenters.com. Bunch of NFL stories to get to, including Kyler Murray's homework addendum has been supposedly voided by the Cardinals, which apparently is not possible. We'll get into that with Chad Withrow coming up next and what it means for Kyler and Arizona and the other stories around the NFL as well. Here on the program, let me tell you about Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. I love Fireball Whiskey because it goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. There's no better way to celebrate tonight, which is Fireball Hot Take Friday. No better way to celebrate tonight than with ice-cold Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. Ignite the night. Please do it responsibly and be 21 years or older to enjoy. That's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
Join Chase McCabe for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 for all the news in the world of motorsports.
Joey Logano gets the very first victory in the next-gen car
while hearing from the big names.
Two-time champion Kyle Busch.
Being able to bring NASCAR, the Cup Series, back to Nashville is cool.
It's Chasing Checkers, presented by Apple Collision Centers and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high-quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop into Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
Family Leisure is having a come out and play sale.
That's right. Family Leisure is inviting you to come out and play with the new swimming pool, spa, or patio furniture set.
Hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. DIY pools start at only $16.99. 24-foot pools are only $29.99 installed.
Installation in less than 10 days on average.
More than 100 spas in stock and incoming. Artesian, Strong, and LPI spas starting at only $29.99.
What about the patio furniture?
Family Leisure has hundreds of sets in stock and on sale. Hanamint, Woodard, Tropitone, and Loft, all ready for immediate delivery.
Family Leisure also has the Sabre Infrared Grill in stock and on sale at only $11.99, and the Bull Grill Islands at only $39.99.
And Family Leisure has the Diamond Point Play Gym at only $25.99 installed and ready for immediate delivery.
Pool tables, massage chairs, and theater seating all on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Come out and play at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Family and fun come together.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Hey Nashville, what's the best part of hockey? That's rhetorical. We all know the answer. It's the 3-on-3 overtime, the speed, the skill, the tic-tac-toe passing. It is electric. Well, now there is a new, totally 3-on-3 ice hockey league called 3 Ice, coming to the Music City on August 6th. They're playing at Bridgestone Arena, and tickets are available now at 3ice.com. 6 teams touring across 9 cities, playing a bracket-style tournament at each stop. It's overtime all the time. Hair on fire hockey. Log on to 3ice.com for tickets now.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company,
presented by TriStar Moving,
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company live at First Horizon Park on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. We are your racing station. That's right, 102.5, 106.3. The Game is Nashville's home for NASCAR. Tune in this Sunday at 12:30 for the Verizon 200 and join Chase McCabe every Sunday morning at 8 for Chasing Checkers as he talks to the drivers and gets you set for race weekend. NASCAR on 102.5 and 106.3. The Game, presented by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Chad Withrow with us, Outkick 360 for presented by Apple Collision Centers. So Kyler Murray's homework clause came out this week, and I have done national radio for about, 8 months now. And the things that surprise me that get people all riled up, it gets me every single week. This past weekend, I went on Sirius XM, and I talked about how I don't think Kyler Murray should be paid franchise quarterback money, and almost nobody disagreed. Then we find out that he's got a homework clause this week in his contract. Everybody laughed at him. They laughed at the Cardinals. Arizona yesterday rescinded that, which we learned apparently you can't do without signing somebody to another contract. So, Chad Withrow, what do you make of the week that was for Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals?
It's wild. It's a wild story. When the report came out from Ian Rappaport about that clause in his contract, the easy assumption immediately was, okay, this guy doesn't do a lot of studying away from the facility, and even the language about a TV can't be on in the background, video games can't be played, I'm thinking that they must know something about what's going on. But also, it's in conflict with each other because they just signed the guy to the second richest quarterback contract in the league. So clearly they like him as a quarterback. Clearly they want him to be a part of their franchise, but they also are a bit apprehensive about this part of him as a franchise quarterback. So that was weird. Then the fact that Cliff Kingsbury's asked about it. I understand Cliff Kingsbury can just come back and say, I don't make the contracts. That's not my department. I was just sitting there praying that the guy would be our quarterback. He is, so I'm happy. I think that's an acceptable response from Cliff Kingsbury on that because he's not the general manager or the owner. Then you've got Kyler Murray trotting out there with a shirt, by the way, that says easy money with the S being the money symbol, which is hilarious in its own right because of what he's talking about, going up on the podium saying it's borderline disrespectful for media to question his work ethic based on that clause and based on his success. And then that night the Cardinals say, hey, forget about it. Don't worry. We're going to remove that clause. We didn't mean to cause a big fuss out of all this. I said this yesterday on the show, and I firmly believe this. The Cardinals could have stopped all of this attention, all of this negative publicity by coming out quickly and releasing a statement or sending something to Adam Schefter or someone else just saying, guys, this has nothing to do with his work ethic. We believe in his work ethic. We know he's going to put forth that much work by himself. This is simply something we're doing with our current quarterback and all future quarterbacks in the contract. We would not have cared 4 years from now when they sign their next franchise quarterback to even go back and look and see if they actually included it in the next contract. It was a way to diffuse the situation, act like it's standard protocol, and not have everyone like us in the media speculating on whether or not Kyler Murray needs to be sent to study hall every week to prepare for a game. I think the Cardinals botched this. They could have handled it by getting that story out in the media. I think they at least acted, but in acting they came back and said, we're going to remove it altogether, which I think was too much of a stretch with all of this. It's a weird story and one that I think even after this somewhat bit of resolution leaves us asking even more questions.
So I have a theory on the Cardinals, which is I don't think the Cardinals really like Kyler that much because I remember Kyler was kicking and screaming and crying like a baby and deleting his social media or the pictures of the Cardinals on his Instagram because he wanted a contract, and Arizona at that time didn't want to give him a contract right at the end of the year. Then they give him a contract, but they give him a contract that is, hey, but if you don't put the work in, then we can void the guarantees, which means that Arizona had a fear that he wasn't going to put the work in. But at the same time, the general manager, Steve Keim's the same guy who took Josh Rosen in the first round of the draft and then punted on him. And Cliff Kingsbury was hired specifically to coach Kyler. I almost wonder if they're so tied into Kyler that they have to bend the knee to him even though I don't think they love him that much. And I would assume that in part because I don't really think Kyler Murray's that good. What do you make of that?
Jared, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, yeah, cut out just for a second. Here's what I think about the Cardinals with Kyler Murray. I think they like him a lot. I'm with you in that, do they love him, as in, do they think he's, Mahomes or Josh Allen? No. And no one thinks that he's that. But I think that they look at Kyler Murray and they say, he is our best option right now. We're not going to do any better on the open market. We're not going to do better in the draft right now. We drafted the guy number 1 overall. We paired him with Cliff Kingsbury. This is a big prove-it season for Cliff Kingsbury also, and how he can coach up Kyler Murray and what he can do with that offense. So I kind of buy what you're saying with that. I mean, clearly if you're going to put that clause in the contract, you have reason to believe that while I don't think that Kyler Murray's just coasting and not working hard, you got to have reason to believe that maybe he's not putting in the same amount of work as the top 10 quarterbacks across the league in terms of game prep and looking at everything on his tablet each and every week. So, yeah, I think you may be onto something there. Now, they gave him enough money in that contract where I say they really like Kyler Murray and think that he can win and win big with Arizona, but they don't like him so much that it was just a no-brainer that this guy is the franchise moving forward and he's going to win a Super Bowl for us. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Supposedly, Chad Withrow with us, Outkick 360. Supposedly, Daniel Jones has had a rough 3 days to start off the Brian Daboll era. The Titans play the Giants in Week 1. The New York Daily News, here's a headline: No stretch to envision the Giants trying Tyrod Taylor or Jimmy Garoppolo if offense doesn't wake up. They're the Titans' Week 1 opponent. Daniel Jones is clearly in a make-or-break year. Is it really going to be that big of a mess that Tyrod Taylor might be starting Week 1 against the Titans?
I don't know about that. But the Giants, we went through the teams that interest us the least in the league, and far and away for me, it's the Giants. There's just not much interesting about this Giants team, and it's mainly because of Daniel Jones. I understand they've got a new coach in Brian Daboll. I understand it's the New York Giants. But there's not a lot that interests me about this team in that roster. And if the offense is as big of a train wreck as is being reported, boy, that's great news for the Titans, opening the season with them. So, honestly, Jared, if we're sitting here saying, is it going to be Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor, or they're going to make a move for Jimmy Garoppolo, isn't that just a good scenario for the Titans regardless? I mean, I looked at it when Daniel Jones is going to be the starter, and we knew he was, as a good situation for the Titans to open the season. So if there's even uncertainty about that, and we're talking about the possibility of Taylor or Garoppolo right now at this point, I think that's great news for the Titans opener.
Chad Withrow's with us. I don't want to make assumptions here, and I haven't investigated anything in my entire life, but Daniel Snyder finally sat down with the House Judiciary Committee or whatever it is, the oversight panel or whatever that's investigating Washington. And he testified yesterday, and this was a kicking and screaming testimony because he tried to get out of it so many times. He testified for 11 hours yesterday. Again, I don't know how he still has the Washington football team, the franchise. I don't know how he still owns it, given all the transgressions. But now he's got Congress coming after him. Do you think this is the end of Daniel Snyder?
No, I don't. I think it's weird that it lasts 11 hours when the politicians involved didn't have an audience to play for. Usually this is done because, and this is on both sides, you're asking one question or another to appease your constituency and to appease your side of the aisle. And the fact that they did it under a closed, secret thing for 11 hours, quite frankly, is kind of impressive. I'm amazed that they worked that hard, that long on this thing that really, I don't know that it has much bearing moving forward on anything. So that's what surprised me more than anything was even when it went behind closed doors, it was still an 11-hour process. Look, we're going to get stories leaked out about what the testimony involved, But honestly, Jared, short of some sort of screaming match where Daniel Snyder lost his cool and just went off on someone, I don't know much that Daniel Snyder could say right now that would surprise me, given how much of a disaster he's been as an owner with Washington. I just don't know what revelation that we could uncover at this point that would surprise me about Daniel Snyder. But those 32 owners, they are going to protect each other, and it is going to remain the toughest ticket to acquire in sports business to get one of those 32 teams, and it's also going to be the toughest ticket to revoke, because once you're in, baby, you are in. You are in for life. It is a Supreme Court appointment. You are not getting kicked out of that club once you're in. So I think Daniel Snyder is going to be just fine.
I cannot believe that. I mean, because they kicked out Jerry Richardson for the most part out of Carolina a couple years ago. Now, his stuff was over the top, but Snyder's stuff's out of control too.
Well,
I mean, the allegations
he wanted
are
out.
out of control.
Yeah, I think the Richardson thing was he also wanted out. They were rumored to sell anyway, so it kind of sped up the process a little bit. I think if you've got someone like Snyder who vehemently does not want to sell his team and will fight against everything to do so, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to make that happen. But, Jared, the thing is, I just don't think anyone in the league is compelled to make him sell. Now, are they going to be upset with all the stuff about him withholding money from the league and revenue sharing? Yeah. I think that's the one thing that could possibly get them to move on it. But I still don't think with the money involved that we're talking about that maybe he cheated some of the league out of, I just don't think it's going to happen with this.
It's almost like the league would just make him pay it back with interest. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360 with us, as always, on a Friday, presented by Apple Collision Centers, online at applecollisioncenters.com. Great stuff, Chad.
Yep, thanks, Jared.
Yep, Chad Withrow joining us. Can we please get rid of Daniel Snyder?
The scary thing is, because I'm with you, the scary thing is, if he hasn't been kicked out by now, what's going to get him kicked out?
11 hours.
11 hours.
What could you possibly ask? And I'm sure a lot of these people that are on the House committee that's investigating Washington, I'm sure they don't even care. Some of them don't care about football.
No. Probably, I would think probably a majority of them don't care about football.
11 hours.
But what Daniel Snyder has done is bigger than football.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I know.
But 11 hours?
Yeah.
I mean,
what he has done is so blatantly egregious that it is shocking to me that he could still have a place in one of the most powerful positions in football. Yet here he is.
11 hours. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025 here on the program. Titans training camp is in full swing. There's one little thing that I haven't loved so far at training camp. We'll get to that coming up next right here. Stillman & Company, 1025 The Game.
This is Colton Sissons, and this is Smashville.
Feeds now, Sissons coming on from the left circle, and Colton Sissons puts it in the net.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025 The Game.
We're Saia LTL Freight. For nearly a century, our team has been committed to driving business forward. From Lady Liberty to the Golden Gate, Superstore to Corner Store. We go that extra mile, expanding our team to better serve you. So trust that when you partner with Saia, we take every delivery personally. Visit Saia.com for all your shipping needs. That's SAIA.com.
For the first time, saddle up in Smashville. 6:30 tomorrow at Nissan Stadium for WWE SummerSlam. See undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns face Brock Lesnar in a last man standing match. Liv Morgan defends the SmackDown Women's Championship against Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Pat McAfee vows to shut down Happy Corbin and more. 3 seats are still available and tickets start at $25 at Ticketmaster.
Ever tried to shop for a diamond online? They all look great on the computer screen, but the fact is, most reputable jewelers like Genesis Diamonds wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
These are the diamonds that nobody wants to buy. We call them the B-quality diamonds.
That's Genesis owner Boaz Ramon, who says that even diamonds with the same grade and specs on paper can be very different when you see them up close in person, especially the ones from online dealers.
Those diamonds gonna look always cloudy or dirty. It's like you're wearing your glasses and there is fingerprints all over the glass. You just don't understand, or nobody told you that the material that this diamond was cut from was not the best material.
Why risk it? At Genesis Diamonds, they screen thousands of diamonds and only choose the best of the best for maximum brilliance, sparkle, and luster. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
I'm Boaz Ramon, and my accent is always on value.
Hiller's Home of the Free is back with more free giveaways than ever. This month, get a free programmable thermostat with select new HVAC systems. Get a free home surge protector with a whole home generator. Or enjoy a free water sensor leak detector with any tankless water heater. Better yet, we'll include interest-free financing and a free Happy Hiller Club membership with these purchases. Celebrate the Home of the Free with us at happyhiller.com.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Signs First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Saturday, the stars of the IndyCar head to the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indy Grand Prix.
Go, baby! Oh, boy, an IndyCar winner!
Coverage begins at 11 on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
How do you feel about Malik and the 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s taking and running with the ball and checking it down and running with it? Or do you want to see him maybe try to force something or throw the football?
No, I mean, I don't want to sit there and have him throw interceptions. I want him to work through his progression and make the correct decision. You know, if we evaluate the tape and it looks like, you know, he had, you know, one of his first two progressions, you know, or reads, we'd certainly want the ball to go there. But if not, then, you know, that's what you have to do is you have to progress through. And sometimes, guys' progression is being able to extend plays outside the pocket and being smart with the football, keeping your eyes downfield, making great decisions, and then, you know, protecting the football and yourself as well.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel today on Malik Willis. And I asked specifically, quarterbacks can't get hit, and it's 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, and Malik Willis is checking down and running with the football. And I'm sitting there. I want to see, and this is me covering practice, I want to see Malik throw the ball. And I was not impressed today with Malik Willis. I was impressed with Traylon Burks. I was impressed with Robert Woods. I was impressed with Chikakonkwo. I was impressed with, you know, we talked yesterday about Petit Ferrer, Malik, and we all know that Malik's going to get plenty of reps in the preseason games, we would assume. Malik in 11-on-11 got 3 snaps. One was a running play. Another was a running play. Third down and about 5-ish. Malik Willis scrambles up the middle. I have no idea if, you know, he would have been tackled before that would have happened, but 3 plays, and Malik, with his one passing opportunity, decides to run. 7-on-7. Malik threw 2 completions to number 49, who I believe 49 is the international guy, Thomas Odukoya from the Netherlands.
Odukoya.
Yeah, him. So he completed 2 to him. Then on second down, Malik with a horrible throw to Racey McMath. He got a -1. McMath was open, and the ball was at his feet. And then I put in parentheses, awful. So he got a -1 for that.
You know.
Then third down, Malik short to 82, who's Briley Moore, a tight end. So, you know, there he threw the ball. And Malik does, let me say this, Malik's got some zip on the football. I mean, it's apparent that he's got an arm. He's got these big legs, and he plants the legs and then lets a rocket go. That's why I was so disappointed in the pass at McMath's feet. 11-on-11, Willis going again. Team runs to the left, team runs to the left. And then he threw one deep to the left, incomplete for 84, who is Brandon Lewis, who's a rookie out of Air Force, though Lewis could have made that catch. And that was a nice throw. So I put there, I started and I said, nice throw from Malik, because it wasn't a dangerous throw, but it was a good throw. It just wasn't caught. Then Malik got one more go at it, 3 more snaps. He ran the ball. They ran the ball as a team. Then he ran the ball. And where that worries me is here's Malik getting probably 8 opportunities to pass, and he's throwing on 4 of them, and he's running on 4 of them. And that's a sign of a young quarterback who's inexperienced, because a nervous quarterback just starts running because it's easier. They trust that more than they trust the idea of making a tough throw. So when they get into preseason, I'm not going to want to watch Malik Willis run the ball all the time, because I don't ever foresee that being an offense that Mike Vrabel's going to run. And so Malik's going to have to stand in there a little bit longer. And they've talked about decision-making being a good thing so far and timing being something Malik Willis needs to work on. I do not want to see Malik Willis try to be Lamar Jackson, because Malik Willis is not Lamar Jackson. He is not as fast as Lamar Jackson. I like what Malik's done so far a little bit, but today I thought Malik could have done a little bit better.
Well, and you mentioned how rolling out sometimes prematurely is a sign of an inexperienced quarterback.
My first read, go.
I don't think that anyone has accused Malik Willis of being an experienced quarterback.
No.
I think that's something that he continues to
but it has
be
to,
in practice.
It has to get better.
It has to get better.
Yeah.
And that's fair. But I don't think that it's anything right now we should look at and say, oh, that's disappointing. Malik Willis at this point, he needs to be there. He needs to be able to sit back and wait in the pocket. I don't need that from him right now. I do need that from him down the line. I don't know if I have a certain date that I need that from him, but we do need that from him eventually.
I mean, I expect to see significant growth between now and the preseason from Malik Willis.
And I think that's very fair. And I think that growth between preseason game to preseason game is also key.
I just don't want to see Malik try to take off with the ball every time. And he took off with the ball a lot today. You heard Vrabel say, and this is what I love, coaches, we'll look back at the tape and see what was open and what wasn't. And to Vrabel, in fairness to Vrabel probably doesn't remember that specific play. And he is going to, if he hasn't already, watched it on the tape. And certainly Pat O'Hara is going to go over that with him and Tannehill and Woodside, in their meetings. But I want to see Malik throw. I hate to break it to everybody out there that gets offended by every little thing that they don't agree with. But a defensive coordinator said in the Mike Sando athletic tiers that Lamar Jackson could be a tier 1 player, but not a tier 1 quarterback. And everyone got outraged about somebody they don't even know. And I heard that and I thought, well, that's what that guy thinks. And that's what we say we want to know, is we want to know what these people think. Well, what I think is I want to see Malik throw the football, because I believe he's got to become a pocket passer. Because even though he's athletic, I don't think he's so athletic that he can run a Lamar Jackson offense. I think he needs to be a pocket passer. And right now, it's clear to me that he's not comfortable doing that. What do we have in our text line? Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Austin in Clarksville texts in and says, it feels like in training camp so far, there's a lot of positives on the offensive side and a lot of positives on the defensive side.
I'm not sure I have a lot of positives on the defensive side. I mean, just going through the pluses and the minuses, Farley had a pass breakup. He got a plus today. Fulton had a plus and a minus, though I could have given more to Fulton. And Rashad Weaver, I gave a plus to. Defense is tough. It's tough to judge defense when they don't tackle. On some of the Derrick Henry runs, I thought the defensive line beat the offensive line, but on some of them, I thought the offensive line beat the defensive line.
But the lines without pads are...
No pads.
Yeah.
I would say that that's kind of even. It's funny about the pads thing, because they're going to put the pads on Monday. Vance Bedford used to be the defensive coordinator at Louisville under Charlie Strong. And that was when I first was on the radio. And I remember they had media day right before the start of practice, or maybe 2 or 3 days into practice. And Vance Bedford got up there, and Vance Bedford was a personality at defensive coordinator. And he got up there talking about the season and what they're going to do on defense. And they'd already had a couple of non-padded practices under their belt. And he said, don't ask me about what I've seen so far at practice, because they're not wearing pads. They're just out there playing basketball. And then somebody asked him, they had converted a wide receiver to corner. and they asked Vance Bedford, how has CJ Gaines looked moving from wide receiver to corner? And he goes, I don't know. Seen him play basketball. He's a decent basketball player, but don't ask me until they put the pads on. So for defense, that's what I would say right now. Then again, 5 practices last year, the defense had 5 interceptions of Ryan Tannehill. So far, they have none. And like I said yesterday, just because you have a good season on defense last year does not mean that the Titans are going to have a good season on defense this year. What's next?
Matt and Mount Juliet texts in and says, in my opinion, this team looks better than last season. What do you think?
Boy, that's tough. The team last season was the number 1 seed in the AFC. As far as training camp is concerned, yes, because they were too injured last year. They were too injured, at least for me. Was tough because in the Tampa Bay practices, I went down there, and the first day I watched the Titans beat the crap out of Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the defending Super Bowl champion with the greatest player of all time, with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, and the Titans really put it to him in that first one. And Arians was mad about it. Brady was mad about it. And the next day, the Titans, again, out there playing with Ferkser and Westbrook-Akina and Chester Rogers, the Titans just got smoked. And I remember Vrabel the second day. Now, the Buccaneers had their little setup where they had their media kind of like how the Titans have their setup here with their porch. And there was just a little side field and a little tiny Titans backdrop. And 2 players would come over and Vrabel would come over. And so Vrabel walks over. And I remember Vrabel coming over. And you know how Vrabel can be in a really crummy mood sometimes. And I said, we could all tell Vrabel was in a bad mood. I just go, what'd you think of practice, Mike? I thought it sucked. And
Classic.
so I remember stuff like that last year. I'm trying to compare training camp to training camp. I'm not trying to compare training camp this year and the optimism of what I don't know compared to what I know is the end result last year. Because I can't look at the team right now and say, yeah, this is going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Right.
And that would be tough.
Because I don't think I felt that in training camp this time last year.
I did. And I started the show off saying this. I love what I see out of Woods. I love what I see out of Burks. I like what I see out of Hooper. I like what I see out of Okonkwo. And that's better than I can say for what they were doing at wide receiver last year at training camp. 615-737-1025 is our phone number here on the program. SummerSlam this weekend. I'm not a wrestling guy, but I do have a wrestling question. We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman and Company, 1025 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus, staying dry overnight tonight. Low temperatures in the upper 60s. Low humidity for your Saturday. High temps staying in the 80s, so a little on the cooler side. Isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms afternoon throughout the evening, ending by sunset.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Tennessee's tax-free holiday is here. Head to Electronic Express this weekend for great deals on back-to-school essentials like laptops, tablets, printers, and more, all tax-free. This weekend only, get an Acer laptop for $229 or an Apple iPad for $449. Don't miss out on a Microsoft Surface Pro bundle for $899 or an HP laptop for $499. Shop in-store or online with free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
If you suffer from joint pain, from arthritis, or an injury, you know the traditional treatments: pain meds, steroids, and then surgery, right? Willie Donick here with great news. Now there's a better way, and it's here now from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. This is an advanced, exciting, and natural alternative that can give you lasting relief using your body's own healing power. Listen, steroid shots are toxic to your joints. Pain meds can be addictive, and nobody wants to go under the knife. It's 2022, and those old ways are out. The new way is in. Regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue using natural biologics. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. QC Kinetics and their protocols can address any pain in any joint and give you the quality of life you deserve. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come, join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Robbie Stanley.
They get a lead in that game and just totally close the door.
Joe Rexrode.
If he plays next year, it's disastrous.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Ric Flair was at Titans practice yesterday. We talked about this at length. And the fact, I'm not a wrestling person. Do we think Chase is going to SummerSlam on Sunday?
I feel I don't have to confirm with Chase to feel pretty confident that Chase will be there tomorrow.
Ian, do we know? Is it tomorrow?
I believe it's tomorrow.
I thought it was Sunday. Ian?
I don't know which day it is, but yes, he will be there, I'm sure.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow?
Saturday.
Really?
Yeah. According to the Googles.
I thought it was on Sunday. I thought Vrabel was excited to go on Sunday, and I don't know.
Maybe it's both days.
It could be that way. I think WrestleMania is that way. I think WrestleMania is both days.
Oh, it says per Ticketmaster, WWE SummerSlam 2022 will take place on July 30th at Nissan Stadium.
So today's the 29th?
Yeah, so tomorrow's the 30th.
So tomorrow, I thought SummerSlam was Sunday.
Maybe that was the Ric Flair thing on Sunday.
Maybe.
The Ric Flair is in town for doing something. Maybe there's 2 separate events.
Wrestling people, help me out. Here's the question that I have, though. As we all know, it's been well documented. I do not enjoy wrestling, and I know that many of you do like wrestling. I find wrestling to be very primal is the word that I'll use.
Okay.
Do you think that's offensive?
No.
I find wrestling to be very primal. I'm not very interested in wrestling. Will I have FOMO for not going to SummerSlam? Here we go. Gentry Estes tells me SummerSlam is on Saturday. Ric Flair is on Sunday. So apparently
my personal text line is flooding in with my wrestling people.
Oh, so is mine. I mean, my thing is freaking blowing up. My phone is popping over this wrestling stuff. Every time I talk wrestling, you know what? I'll be honest with you. And I believe at SiriusXM there's like Fight Radio that has all these things.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
UFC, whatever.
And thank you to Wayne from Spring Hill in our text line.
There's a part of me that makes me think. So is Ric Flair fighting at Nissan Stadium Sunday?
On Sunday. That's Ric Flair's final match, but SummerSlam is Saturday.
At Nissan Stadium?
Correct.
They're both at Nissan Stadium.
I don't know.
Am I going to be sad? Am I going to be sad that I'm not going to go to wrestling this weekend?
I think you are.
Will I feel like, here's the thing. There are certain events in town that I don't go to because I really don't go to a lot of events in town. There are certain events in town that I don't go to that when they happen, I feel very left out that I'm not at it. Now, there's also a lot of them that when they happen, I'm not sure that I care that I'm not at. But this one, I'm a little like last year, the Music City Grand Prix, I didn't go to.
I had FOMO.
And I kind of, when I saw it, I was like, I might have had fun at this. Like the Nashville SC game where no one could park or anything like that.
No
Pass.
FOMO.
Pass.
No.
This.
You're going to have FOMO.
Okay, so apparently Ric Flair's fight, according to Sturgill, Ric Flair's fight on Sunday night is at Municipal Auditorium.
Okay.
I have to be honest,
Thank you,
even though
Sturgill.
I can literally see the Municipal Auditorium from where I'm sitting right here at First Horizon Park at the Sounds game, I'm not a Municipal Auditorium guy. I went to a Nashville Women's Football League game there about 5 or 6 years ago. And I went to when my buddy was coaching the Belmont women's team and they won the OVC. I went to the OVC tournament at Municipal, and no disrespect to Municipal Auditorium, but if I never walk into that building again, I'll be okay.
I don't think I've ever stepped foot in there, but I do walk by it nearly every day.
If you wanted to feel what an arena that was built in 1962 and still the last time it was updated was probably 1962, Municipal Auditorium is your place.
Yes, the only old arena that I have any interest in seeing is the Coliseum, and that's about it.
I want to say that, like when I was a kid, I probably shouldn't even say this on the radio, but when I was a kid, there was some concert or some game or something going on at Municipal Auditorium. I must have been like in the 4th grade. And I asked my mom if we could go, and she said no, because apparently there was some concert. I think it might have been a rap concert. There was some concert at Municipal Auditorium, and people either got, trampled on and died or shot.
Oh my
or
goodness.
something. And my mom was like, no, we're not doing that. And so that was like
That's scary.
But that was like 20 years ago that my mom
Yeah.
said that to me. So who knows? I'm just anti-Municipal Auditorium, but it is Ric Flair. And I do appreciate the fact that Ric Flair's a big time famous wrestler. SummerSlam, here's my thing with SummerSlam. Is anybody going to be able to see from these seats at SummerSlam? Because I went to the Predators Stadium Series game at Nissan Stadium, and I've been to a Final Four basketball game inside the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, and I didn't feel like I could see well enough for any of those games.
Well, I do wonder for SummerSlam because this is the way that it was for Monster Trucks, which was awesome. At
Mhm.
Nissan Stadium was like the top maybe 2 bowls weren't open. So maybe for SummerSlam, like one of the bowls will be open. But I mean, if you're in the 300 level, I don't know how you could see a darn thing because it's tough to see football from the 300 level.
Yeah, but now we're sounding like really, really conceited talking bad about the 300 level.
Well, I had season tickets in the 300 level
Man,
for the Titans. I am not above the 300 level. I'm just saying if you're in the 300 level, it would be really hard to see 2 humans fighting each other when it was hard enough to see 22 humans fighting each other.
So I don't know a single wrestler, I would assume, that's going to wrestle in SummerSlam. Now, I used to play the wrestling video game when I was 10 years old. That had Goldberg and Rey Mysterio Jr. and Bagwell. And I remember that a little bit. But I personally was just not a wrestling person. As I've told you all, I think it's fake. The Rock's not going to wrestle, right? John Cena's not going to wrestle. Triple H is done wrestling.
For Ric Flair's final hurrah.
But apparently that's Sunday.
Yeah, that's Sunday.
Right, but I'm talking about SummerSlam.
Oh, I doubt the
I'm not going to Municipal Auditorium for a wrestling match.
Well, didn't you just consider it? And now you're turning it down? Like literally 2 minutes ago, you were considering it?
I have to pay for that.
Well, then pay for it. Dish off the cash. It's Ric Flair.
Am I going? My question is, am I going to have FOMO if I don't make it to wrestling?
If you go into it that attitude, probably not.
No, I probably will. I'll
You
think
sound like
about
a
it.
pawpaw. I gotta pay for it. and then I gotta
I will
park.
think about
I gotta bring
attending
my
wrestling.
binoculars because I won't be able to
Chase,
see it.
Chase will have a full breakdown of wrestling. I would assume coming up on, one time there was a big WrestleMania, and I'm not gonna say that I regret what I
Rey
said.
Mysterio is wrestling tomorrow night per Josh on our text line.
Rey Mysterio Jr. or Rey Mysterio like the third? Because I think
all
his
I
son.
get is the information.
I
from
think
Josh
his
on our
son's
text
wrestling too. Ian.
Couldn't tell you.
Oh man, that's gonna do it for us. Everybody have a great weekend. We're out practice tomorrow. Pads on Monday. We'll have a full breakdown at 2:00. Then live from First Horizon Park. The Sounds tonight. Great seats available. 7:05.